Welcome to our coverage of DEKA Austin, the season opener here in the 2023 DEKA FIT Elite Series. We'll be bringing you all the action from the Austin Convention Center down into this Saturday morning here in Austin, Texas. I'm Xander Keene along with Joe Roberto. We've got a crew behind the scenes getting us on sounding great. We've got rabbits on course. Excited for what's going to be an intense morning of hybrid racing. So for those of you new, as we're going to get over to our live feed in Austin here in a moment, DEKA FIT is a hybrid event combination of 500-meter runs and fitness stations. So intense from the start. We've got a talented array of athletes on both the men's and women's side. And Joe, just off the top, what are you most excited about seeing here this morning?
Well, we got Rylan Shadegg, that will be, he was at Worlds competing for one of the top spots. Definitely going to be watching out for him. This race is intense. They come out hot. So I'm looking forward to all that.
Yeah, I think we've got 4 of the top 10 or 3 of the top 10 all-time DEKA FIT times on the men's side. You've got on the women's side, Alex Walker, who was second here at this event last year. 3 or 4 guys who competed in the DEKA FIT World Championship just a few months ago, and it's kind of a season opener for some of them. You've got a combination of athletes who are specializing in this event. You've got others who, mix it up in the mountains and come down to throw down here in the arena. So it's going to be a great combination. I know we saw Rylan take it out hot in that World Championship race and ended up getting passed by Rich Ryan late. So it'd be interesting to see, if he takes it out that quickly here at the start of this race. But again, to go over the format for those of you who might be new to DEKA FIT, as we're getting a look at the athletes in the warm-up zone, getting ready to go in about a little over 10 minutes here. So again, a 500-meter run to start the course, and then 10 stations. You got weighted reverse lunges, rows, box step overs, med ball sit-ups, a ski, a farmer's carry, an air bike, dead ball wall overs, a tank push and pull, and then burpees. And here's a look at the map as we were kind of going through it before we came on the air. We think it's going to be one full lap and then most of a second lap as athletes come in and out of these stations. And I think, Joe, one thing to pay attention to is, you're going in and out at different points along the course. And we've seen at times, athletes, when you're at a super high heart rate and the intensity is high, making sure that you're not wasting any precious seconds coming in and out of those stations is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting familiar with the course before you go out, knowing exactly what you need to do. We did notice, I think, during the World Championships, a few mistakes were made as they were going in and out of those stations. So penalties would be assessed, and then you don't want to get that extra time added, especially when those crucial seconds matter.
So talking about the stations, obviously it's, 500 meters of running in between each one. It's going to take about the same amount of time, but, the fatigue and the lactic is going to build up as it goes. Early on, in your mind, what station is kind of the most significant for showing us, okay, here's how the race is going to go?
Well, I think as they build through stations 5 and 6, things, you can only lunge so fast. The box step overs, all of these athletes are pretty efficient as they go through. But you'll really see the rubber hit the road whenever they get to that bike, no pun intended. They're going to hammer on the bike, and then things are either going to go, north or south for them. Usually that's where I find to be the toughest spot of the race.
Yeah, and that air bike is station 7, so you're thinking a little bit more than 2/3 into the race. You kind of know where you're at heading into that point, but depending on how you approach it or where you are physically, like you may not come out in that same position. We've definitely seen, a lot of time can be made up in that station. Time can be lost as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like we're watching some of the athletes warm up a bit. They're going to be heading to the start line. They're going to go through roll call. I believe we are starting with the first wave elite men, and then the ladies will follow.
Yeah, the elite men will be at about 8 a.m. local time here in Austin. The women about 8:40. So we expect this race to take probably just under 30 minutes for the top men, and we'll see how that unfolds. Again, we've got 3 of the top 10 fastest DEKA FIT times here in this men's race. You've got Rylan Shadig, who comes in as the top seed. You know, he is the DEKA FIT world record holder. You've got Nick Riker, who's definitely hungry, with the 6th fastest all time. Anas Zuri, the 10th fastest all time. And then Mark Gaudet as well. He's a DEKA FIT team world record holder, so a bit of a different dynamic there when you've got a partner you're working with. But I believe all 4 of those guys qualified for the DEKA FIT World Championship last year. I know Mark didn't compete because he was coming off, a 24-hour race a couple of weeks before. But, for this season opener, right, it's a long season, a long series. But a season opener to have, this much talent at the top of the field at the front of this race is definitely exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. On the ladies' side, we've got Bree Schrader, who I've not seen run one of these races, but she is a former Baylor Barron track and field athlete, so it'll be exciting to see her go up with some of these other ladies as well. Sounds like Yancey is going over some of the rules and things right now with some of the athletes, so we can take a listen.
You're going to run a full lap. You're going to go out of your second lap, and you're going to stop just shy of 2 full laps. You're going to go into zone 1 right over there. You finish zone 1, you put your ram down. We're going to go out and run 1 full lap. We're going to go past zone 1. Go out on that second lap. On that second lap, you're going to stop just shy of that zone 1 you just completed. You're going to go into zone 2, the road. You can just rinse and repeat 10 times that process. Always just shy of 2 full laps. Don't get race brain.
So it looks like we were right there. Yeah, it's going to be just shy of 2 full laps. When we're looking at that course map, they'll be coming out, they'll be going and stopping just shy of the zone they were in prior for that second lap going around.
Yeah, the DEKA FIT course is always standardized as far as the layout with kind of a clockwise order of the stations. And so as you're running around in the opposite direction, you're going to have the 1 full lap and then come into the start of the next zone. So again, there's slight differences in how far the zones are spread apart. And that could be, certain runs are going to be a few seconds longer than others. We'll see if that plays into it as well. Again, it's a tight, compact course. You've got almost 2 full laps with 4 turns plus a little bit of an S on one of the ends. So, it's not a straight out and back or just throwing down on the track. It's definitely a different dynamic here indoors with the surface as well.
Yeah, exactly. With this polished concrete, it is a little dicey, especially as the sweat starts falling when you're taking some of those corners, the sharper ones especially.
And you can see Yancey demonstrating the form requirements for the box step overs. Again, you can jump, you can step if you want to. That's one thing to pay attention to. There are certain movement standards for the lunges, especially the box step overs as well. And ram burpees, making sure you have the right height. So that's something that can also play into it, is if, as the fatigue builds up, you got to make sure you're hitting those reps and following the form requirements, or you're at risk of getting no rep and costing yourself some time and extra energy.
For sure. So right now he's talking about going over the box, somebody touching the edge. Like you were saying, you can jump or step over the box, but mandatory 2-foot touch at the top of the box and no going over the side like he was just demonstrating a moment ago. Let's see what Yancey's saying.
You're going to lay back. Rep is counted. The ball touches the ground behind your head. You're going to come up. You're going to throw it. It must hit a portion of the rebound plate. The bottom portion is just fine. If you're a tall athlete and you just want to go up there and touch it to the plate, that's absolutely okay. 25 reps. Again, the reps are counted, and that ball makes contact with the rebounding plate. Zone 6, farmer's carry, self-explanatory. Zone 7, extremely important. You're going to get moving on that bike. You need to hit the start. But the moment you wake up that console with any movement, you're going to see 25.00 on the console. You start going, you got to hit start. It's going to count down to 0. When it hits 0, it's going to auto-populate back to 25. Bomb off that bike and go. Okay, the only thing you have on that console is hit start 1 time. All right, zone 8, dead ball, yoke overs. One basic rule here. The feet must be inside the yoke braces here. Okay? If the ass gets out there, that's perfectly okay. If you see I have both feet in here. And my pink altars, I ordered these to stand there with sand color. Got them in every pink. So it's breast cancer awareness month all year long this year. All right, 20 on the yoke overs. Guys, 60, ladies, 40. Right now for you guys, we've got all 60s out there. When the men are done, we'll have only 40s in there. We'll keep 60s out of the way. So 9, very, very important on our tank. These silver bolts. These silver bolts are your identifier. You're going to come up. It's going to be behind the red line. You're going to push 10 meters until those silver bolts get past that 10-meter line. You're going to grab your straps, and you're going to pull backwards. You're going to pull backwards. You're not allowed to go like this. You'll see some athletes doing this. That's all perfectly okay. All right? The only change from 2022 to this year, we started World Championships on super slick concrete and a little bit of sliding. We completely vaporized that problem by throwing 60-ton dumbbells into the tanks. It does not change the resistance at all. It just puts a little more pressure into the ground. So when those guys, big strong guys, the girls get that big pull, you don't see that little bit of skipping. Okay, so it's a little more consistent there. Down and back 5 times. Guys, both magnetic resistance axles are in position 3. You're going to be on the left side. Same with the dumbbells and sticks. Guys are always left. Ladies, tanks to the right are set to resistance 2. When you walk in, you're going to see a sandwich board sitting the guys to the left, ladies to the right. Zone 10. A couple rules with the 20 burpees. Chest or abs must touch that ram. We're going to come here. A counted rep is when we can clearly see space between the bottom of the ram and the top of the head. So all these would be good reps. That, no good. Don't micromanage that and make my judges see like 1 centimeter, because they're going to be telling you, hey, give me a couple more inches. Get it up there. All right? You can step your feet backwards, step your feet back up. Most of you have no problem. Just do a real quick snatch above your head. Stay in zone 1 on the 20th rep. Please set the ram back down. Don't throw it down. This is the only time you will run. After 20th rep, you bomb through those blue and yellow signs, finish signs, and you make your way to that zone 11. That's the zone. All right, we got a puke bucket up there ready for everybody. Any questions for me before we launch this first wave of men?
So as you heard there, as Yancey went through all the stations, somewhat technical and just, where you need to stand on the wall overs and getting enough space up above your head with the ram for those burpees at the end. Nothing super complicated, but when you're pretty close to your max heart rate, 20, 30 minutes into this event, it's important to make sure that you have that form where it needs to be, or else you're at risk of getting no rep.
Yeah, and we know that it comes down to seconds, especially with some of these top times. They're going to be pushing it. You get no rep, you lose a second or two. That could cost you, especially with the burpees, things like that. So
as we're a few minutes away from the start, we have a question for you. Have you run a DEKA yet? Check out DEKA.fit for a local DEKA event near you. There are hundreds to choose from. That is DEKA.fit. Again, want to thank DEKA FIT, Yancey, the rest of everyone over there for having us here on the air to bring you the action from DEKA FIT Austin. You can see the men who are about, just a few minutes away from starting, getting their final preparations in. Joe, when you're talking about warming up for a race like this, it's not, when you're talking about just a running race or just a one-dimensional event, it's a little more straightforward. But when you've got to get your body primed to run, 5,000 hard meters of running broken up, you've got the different stations that are taxing your upper or lower body. I mean, what's the focus, in these 15, 20 minutes before the race starts?
At this point, I'd say 10 to 15 minutes before this race, they're just trying to stay loose. They've probably been spending the last 30 to 45 minutes really getting the heart rate, bringing it up, and then letting it come back down, making sure that the muscles are primed. With the reverse lunges and the rower being in the beginning, that can also help get your body going before you really get going in the box jump overs, med ball sit-ups, and so on. By then, by the time you're done with zone 5, the ski erg, you're taxed from head to toe. You're plenty warm, and you're only halfway through the race.
It also helps being in a nice climate-controlled indoor space here as well. No elements to deal with, but yeah, you can see just a little bit of final preparations on the air bike for some of these guys. You see Nick Riker there going over the box, making sure he has that timing locked down. Because again, if you save half a second on all your 20 box overs, that's 10 seconds, free for you as you move forward.
Yeah, and not the two-footed jump seems to be something everybody got away from. Jumping with one foot, trying to do the tap that keeps the heart rate down, allows you to knock those out pretty efficiently, pretty quickly, and then move on to your next one.
Look, man.
See who else we got out there warming up. That's Johnny
You're fine.
Modest right there.
They choose when they want to show what we got on, so you just never know.
Yeah, good. There he is. I believe he's talking to the people on the side there.
It's Anas in the yellow getting ready.
And they're going to call all these guys out.
Feeling ready?
Right before we get started, we see the start line.
Let's go. 106. Let's see if I can hear. Yeah, we're live. Oh, yeah. Oh,
that's Johnny Modest right there. I've run with him before.
Oh,
Excellent
I don't know.
athlete, training all the time. He's had a Grit
he'll
Fitness
stand
in
in both of
Texas, so he's close by. And he's always at all the Texas events.
Yeah, there's definitely some good hometown representation here on both sides, the men and the women. And you've got, some athletes coming into town to mix things up as well. So yeah, we're just a couple minutes away from the start of the men's heat here in the DEKA FIT Austin Elite Series.
Yeah, there's Mark there.
What's that? I know, I hate the headband thing. I wear it around my neck too, man.
If you haven't yet and you're just joining us, be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and give us a follow. That helps spread the word on OCR and OCR Report, DEKA FIT, and keep things moving.
Yeah. I mean, I figured it would give me a good excuse to say I beat them.
Yeah, so last time we saw a lot of these athletes was the DEKA FIT World Championship in Atlantic City last fall. And we've got 3 of the top 8 from that race here today to kick off the season. So Rylan Shattuck, he was 3rd in 29:14. Anas Zuri was 6th in 30:53, and Nick Riker was 8th in 31:37. So I think, especially for those last 2 guys, they're ready to set the tone and let everyone know they mean business here heading into 2023, kind of with a renewed focus and energy. And yeah, interesting to see how this goes as we're finally getting set, I think, to have these guys called up and get going.
World record holder with Dave McKean and Mark
Looks like Yancey's going to be calling them out in just a second.
So as this race starts, again, it'll be the first 500-meter run, then straight into the weighted reverse lunges. You got 30 reps, 55 pounds, alternating 15 each leg. So definitely wakes the legs up right away and gets you into this race.
Yeah, and believe it or not, a few seconds count here. You want to go fast, but not too fast, especially getting no rep, not touching the knee to the ground. I believe there was some discussion of the jumping lunge. I don't believe that you can do the jumping lunge now. I think there was some discussion about it, and then they ended up going against it. I may be incorrect. I'm going to have to double check that in the rule book. Oh, okay. Yeah. The jumping lunge? Got it.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where, an event like this where seconds are...
jumping lunges.
Got it. So no jumping lunges, so we'll keep an eye on that. And, I was just going to say, in an event like this where every second matters, people are going to be, pushing the limits, trying to find that absolute fastest technique. And then whether it's a safety thing or just the intention of the movement standard, as this sport grows and evolves, those standards will get modified and to arrive at kind of what the best approach is for everybody.
Absolutely. These guys are all antsy and ready. They've been warmed up. They've cooled down. They're trying to stay loose, but they're ready to go. Just moments
you can
away
see
from
up
kicking
front
off
there.
this elite event.
I was going to say up front, you've got Mark, Nick, Anas, and Rylan. I mean, you know, coming in, you expect those four to be the ones up front pushing the pace, but from top to bottom, this is a talented field. So I'm excited to see, you know, who of those other guys comes out and sticks their nose in it. And Joe, like you were saying, you want to be careful on this first run because you're fresh. You know, this is the one opportunity where, you know, you have not put any weight on your back. You haven't done, you know, any kind of other movement. And yeah, it's great to use that to your advantage, but you also don't want to come out too hot and put yourself in a hole.
Yeah, there's a lot of strong guys and great runners out there in the field. They're gonna push it. It's gonna be a hot first 2.5 or 1.5 laps rather. You know, the main thing is the compromised running as we get into zones 5, 6, and then after you hit that bike, like I said, running the 500 meters after that bike is it's like being hit by a freight train almost. Yeah, and for the elite waves, top 3, we got prizes going. First place, $1,000. Second place, coming with 500, and third place walking away with 250. So definitely some good money on the line here for these waves for the men and women.
Yeah, and that's good incentive. You know, if the pack gets broken open a little bit, you find yourself in 4th or 5th place, you know, heading into the assault bike, hey, you've got time to catch up and get yourself a nice little chunk of change here at the end of the day. Excited to have our rabbits here on course. We should have multiple angles to bring you all the action of both these men's and women's heats. Again, we got the men coming up here in just a couple of minutes. It's a little bit after 8 o'clock local time in Austin. Expect this race to be just under 30 minutes for them, and then the women will be about 10, 15 minutes or so after that men's race finishes up. So a great morning of fitness here, and, you know, this is just part of the event. You've got age group heats later on. You've got a relay. I know some of the competitors here in these waves will be doubling back later on. You know, Alex Walker, who we'll see in the women's race, is going to be racing with her son. We've got some of the men as well doubling up and coming back. So a lot of opportunities, you know, even if you're not in this top, 10 or 11 seed here in the elite wave, you know, plenty of opportunities to come out, test yourself, and throw down here in DEKA FIT.
Absolutely. Looks like these boys are getting ready to go right now.
Okay. Yeah, I was clearing up a busy day. Yeah. I did 9 miles walking this.
Oh, see, there you go. Yeah.
Setup. So
You can see no one is really standing completely still. You were warmed up, you're primed, you're ready to go, and you want to just keep loose a little bit, just enough to make sure that you're not going to be coming out flat when this rate goes on hot.
Yeah, I think that's the benefit of having this run. Obviously, they're going to be coming out hot, but at least it's a little bit of movement before we get to those stations. Unlike a DEKA Strong, which, you know, obviously they're going directly into the lunges, and then there is no run at all. For anybody out there listening, if you haven't tried the DEKA FIT, we also have the DEKA Strong and DEKA Mile, which is all of the same stations. With the DEKA Strong, there is no running whatsoever for any of you who may want to stay away from that, or maybe just pepper in a little bit of running with the DEKA Mile. That's 160 meters each lap, unlike this 500 that they're doing today.
And that definitely changes the dynamic of the stations, right? You know, whether you've got, you know, a little over a minute, however long the 500 meters, minute and a half that's going to take you versus, you know, closer to 30 seconds with the mile or no time at all with the DEKA Strong. It completely changes, you know, how your body responds to the various stations as you move through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And in my experience going through these different gyms that have hosting the DEKA Mile and DEKA Strong, it's all about the setup. A lot of them are really trying to get everything super tight as far as the stations when it comes to DEKA Strong, and then with the DEKA Mile, just making sure that the out and back is, you know, as easy as possible, not too many turns, and then of course keeping those stations nice and tight to try to push those world records.
Yeah, it looks like we were getting a prediction there from Yancey. I think he said he thought Ryland was going to come out and take it today with Anas and Nick Riker throwing down, maybe competing for those podium spots. And, even if that's what it is on paper, we'll see how it unfolds here over the next 30 minutes or so.
Anas last year at NorCal, I didn't know who he was. He comes up to me and says,
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Ryland is probably going to come out super hot in the beginning, and he'll probably be able to maintain most of the race. During World Championships, he did fall apart a little bit on that assault bike, but I feel like there's been some time since then. He's probably put in the work, just like the rest of these gentlemen. So it's going to be an exciting race for sure.
Super close. I just love to say yes, but I don't think Riker and Nas are going to be able to stay right on his heels to give him a serious amount of pressure. They might. I hope they do. Yeah. But if I was betting
talking about Riker, he's also had quite a year coming into this race.
Yes.
Doing a lot of savage races and other items out there. But he's definitely been all over the map and on those podiums. His running getting better as the years go on, for sure.
Yeah, and Riker's a guy who's really honed in on kind of this realm of event, right, in that kind of 30 to 45-minute range, whether it's some of the obstacle races or here at DEKA FIT, whereas Ryland, a younger athlete, a guy with a big endurance background in mountain biking and other events. We saw him up in British Columbia, the Spartan North American champion, in the mountains for 2+ hours, and still able to come down here and throw down in 30 minutes. So it's an interesting balance of some guys who have really focused in on this kind of time domain, whereas others like Mark Gaudet, who's in the ultra game as well, Ryland playing in the mountains, still able to get after it here at a higher intensity.
Yep, and it looks like they're going to. All right, we are just moments away.
Just about set to go here in Austin. Want to quickly remind you that if you want to see more DEKA and OCR races live stream this year, you can support the sport and become an OCR Report member today for less than $5 a month. You can help us live stream races like this every single week. Find a link in our YouTube show notes and more information on our Instagram page at the OCR Report. Become a member today. So yeah, we are just moments away from the start here at DEKA FIT Austin. The athletes are ready and warmed up, and we're ready for an intense morning of hybrid racing action. You can see they're starting to call the athletes up, and Ryland Shadig making his presence known here at the start line as always.
fastest all-time DEKA Fit time, representing Trackhouse from Los Angeles, California. Let's hear it for Anas Zoe.
There's Anas. He's the 10th fastest all-time DEKA Fit record holder currently.
Our third call-up has the 6th fastest all-time DEKA Fit time, representing D1 training from Nashville, Tennessee. Let's hear it for Nicholas Riker.
There's Nick Riker, turned 27 just a couple of days ago. 6th fastest all time. Was the guy that threw down the World Championships last year. He's ready to bring it here today as well.
From Elevate Interior Fitness, representing Colorado Springs, Colorado. Let's hear it for Mark Gaudet.
There's Mark Gaudet. Like we were saying earlier, he also holds the world record with David Magida for DEKA Fit teams.
Yeah, Mark had the 7th fastest DEKA Fit time last year with a 30:22, so you can definitely hang with those guys for sure.
Yep, Van Tran just called a moment ago. He's at a Grit Fitness in Texas. He is quite the runner.
All right, from Ennis, Texas, let's hear it for Lazaro Perez.
That was Joe Kilmer who just came up. Here's Lazaro Perez.
And from Amsterdam,
one of
New
several
York,
Texas-based athletes here in the field today.
Representing Fortitude Fitness
Joshua
and
Gonzalez
Endurance
making his way to the start
Davis,
line now.
California. Let's hear it for John Howard III.
John Howard, he's from California, out of Fortitude Fitness and Endurance.
Jackson, Texas. Make some noise for Johnny Mares.
Johnny Mares is also out of Grit Fitness, same gym as Van Tran.
And last but certainly not least, Dustin Needham out of California as well.
About to take off. We have the best of the best. Our zones are ready. The DEKA Fit Arena is ready. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome you all to the DEKA Fit Arena. This is the decathlon of fitness, where all of the fitness come together on the same day and in the same arena to conquer the global fitness test that is DEKA Fit. Today is the day to celebrate fitness. Today is the day these people will earn their mark. Let's make it happen. All right, gentlemen, here we go. When I say DEKA, you say fit. DEKA, DEKA, DEKA. Let's go!
And here we go. We're underway with the elite men's race here in DEKA Fit Austin.
Yeah, very exciting. As you can see, they're coming out super hot. Looks like Nas is just out front of Ryland. We'll see if that will sustain, beyond this first 500. But for sure, all coming out pretty fast.
Again, almost 2 laps every time around between stations. Anas and Ryland definitely setting the tone early. Be interesting to see how far back everyone else is as we get another angle when they come into those lunges.
Yeah, we've got the timer up there on your screen. That'll be going the entire race. As they head around for this second lap, they'll head into zone 1. That's going to be 30 reps of that reverse lunge.
So you can see a pack of 4 is open right away. I think that was Joe Kilmer as well as Mark Gaudet. Right up there with Ryland and Anas. And then you see different strategy from Nick Riker and this other pack of athletes who are kind of letting the other guys go, at least here from the start.
Yeah, we'll see if that pays off. Sometimes if you allow them to get a little too far ahead during these races, by the time you get into 6 and 7, it's hard to place a comeback. Everything is, you can only push the tank so fast in 9. Only so much can be done. Burpees can only be done so fast, especially if you're pushing the pace the entire race in that last station. So we'll see how it pans out for them.
And here we go, already into the lunges. You see the top 3 there next to each other. That's Ryland, Anas, and Joe as well. So this is 30 reps, 55 pounds, alternating lunges, 15 on each leg, and then they're right back on the run.
Yeah, it looks like Anas and Rylan are going rep for rep right now. I didn't see when they came in, so I don't know if they're exactly lined up, but we'll see in just a moment. Yep, they're Rylan and Anas both setting them down at the same time, heading out of zone 1, starting their second 500-meter lap.
And now Mark Gaudette in third, with Nick Riker making up some time there on the lunges. Actually, I think Mark might be in fourth. I think Joe got out of there off screen, but you can see Rylan and Anas again, just a half second apart here at this lead pack going into the second run.
Yeah, and Anas still holding a great pace. Rylan right behind him, wondering if Rylan is just kind of using him as his rabbit at the moment, knowing that he can pounce at any time. This will be interesting to see how it unfolds into these next couple zones.
Joe and Mark is still clearly in front of the rest of the field. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. That's what I was going to say. They're running pretty fast, keeping a nice distance between them. So it's going to come down to the stations and see if everybody can hold it together. There's Nick Riker, still holding a nice pace, but controlled. Looks like he's not going too nuts.
Yeah, that was Nick in fifth, so he's kind of the front of that chase pack right now. Again, keeping things in control. You see Johnny there coming in just behind. But, at the World Championship, we saw Rich Ryan hold back early and then execute his race and make up a ton of ground and pass both Rylan and Ryan Kent. And I wonder if some of those guys in that second pack are trying to take a cue from that and measure their effort early to make sure they have enough left later.
Yeah, I think it's the later running that really, will be the deciding factor. That labored running, with the labored breathing with the running, it's going to be fun to watch. Now, these guys are all just getting into zone 2. They got 500 meters on the rower. If we can see, it looks like Anas is pulling about a 134. And Mark's in there, looks like about a 141. So they're pulling a pretty good pace. During the World Championships, I remember they were down in the, Ryan Kent was pulling a 132, 134, 140s. That's all pretty good. 5 or 6 seconds difference isn't too much, as long as you can sustain when you get back out on that run.
And coming into this station, Rylan and Anas were, of course, neck and neck, but it was only about a 3-second gap before Joe and Mark came in. So definitely staying with it. We saw Nick come in right after that. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if someone pushes a little bit harder on this row to maybe try and make a break, or if they're just going to save it, knowing that other stations like the bike are still looming.
Yeah, holding back is definitely not a terrible idea. The 3, 4, 5 seconds, the difference between a 140 and a 145 pace can be quite damaging.
Yeah, you may be giving up 5 seconds running that 145, but you could pay for it later on, just if that effort tips you over.
Yeah, and depending on where you're positioned, you can kind of take a peek around when you've come in and see what kind of paces the other guys are pulling. It looked like Riker was doing that. If you can stay with them, then it looks. And Anas and Rylan are now out at the same time. Anas is dictating that pace on the run. Not sure who came out of third or fourth place. We'll get a view here shortly. Was that Riker that just came out off screen? I believe Riker was out. I did not see if anybody went out before him, but we know he's out on the run now.
Yeah, with the orientation of those rowers, it is easy for someone kind of on the other side to come out without us noticing. But we'll see, as they go through this run and come into the next station.
And clearly
now Anas and Rylan have set the tone.
Yeah, and on your screen you'll see that we have the picture-in-picture. There you go. That's 4 right there.
Yeah, so Mark came into the row in fourth. He's now in third, but it's still those two, Mark and Joe. Definitely a sizable gap between them and the front, but at the same time, they also have a pretty big gap as here comes Nick Riker in fifth.
Yeah. Yep. And then zone 3, once again, they're going to have those 20 box jump overs or step overs.
Come on, John. Come on, buddy.
Most of the paces for these box step overs are usually about the same. So, you know, it's really just about being efficient, tapping the foot, getting right back over and getting out the door and on to that next run. Things will really start to heat up as we get into zone 5, zone 6, and then, of course, the air bike.
So there's a Nos first into the box step overs with Ryland a half second behind him.
It looks like Ryland
coming in just a few seconds later.
Ryland's having a little bit of trouble with that box, so that's you know, again, efficiency. But the Anas, where the way he's turning, you know, that's going to eat up even a half a second each rep. That's going to cost them, you know, long run, especially if they're just a few seconds apart.
We've now got 5 athletes in this station as, again, Nick Riker has really built up a gap in that. You see it. You said it, Joe. Anas taking a little bit longer time with that technique, and now Ryland's got a 2, 3, 4 second gap heading into this run.
And Ryland is looking super strong on that run. Anas not so much, you know, probably hurting a little bit from the pace they were pushing at the beginning. Maybe if he hangs back just a little bit here on this third 500, or excuse me, fourth 500, then maybe he can gather it together before they get into those other zones.
And then all those first 3 runs, Anas was leading, and Ryland was content to just let him have the pace and stay with him. And I think maybe he knew that he could have an opportunity in the middle of this race to kind of put the throttle down a little bit more, and that's what we're seeing here on this 4th run.
Yeah, absolutely. There's 1, there's 2, Anas is in second, still holding strong, but you're going to see there's Mark in third. Now he's going to be, it looks like, catching Anas, and Mark is pushing the pace. So I have a feeling he'll be catching him going into zone 4 and maybe even passing him on the way out.
And Nick Riker making a move up toward 4th as well. He's definitely closed that gap on Joe Kilmer. You see just a couple of seconds with Nick still in 5th, but closing the gap and maybe trying to hunt down Mark if he can pass Joe here in the next run or 2.
And our rabbits are heading over into the zones. We're going to see who else we got going. As they head into zone 4, that's going to be the med ball sit-up, 25 sit-ups. Have to touch above your head on the ground there, and then just on the plate in front of you.
Ryland looking controlled. You see there him pointing, making sure he knows where to go, taking his claim right at the front of this zone, getting right into those sit-ups, and Anas just a few seconds behind him still. We'd expect to see Mark coming into this zone momentarily as well.
Yeah, and a little fumble from Ryland there. You know, sweat starts to become a factor. Grip on that ball will get you for sure. The bouncing motion does help. Some people choose not to let go, like Anas is doing there. Some have to give a little toss. Mark looking super efficient back there in the corner. Anas also still holding a nice pace. Ryland heading out the door there. He's on his 5th run, 1st place, Ryland. And then we have Anas, Joe, and Mark, as you see there on the screen.
Anas still in 2nd, but Mark is closing. Just about 3 seconds behind him coming out of this station. And Mark Audette will try and run him down here on this next run.
Yeah, exactly.
And now Nick Riker's moved up into 4th.
Oh, man, yeah, for sure. And Riker, I think he has more in the tank. Like I said, this year has been really strong for him. His running's been looking really good. So it'll be exciting to see how it goes as they head into around and into zone 5.
We saw Joe Kilmer kind of get up there and then go back down. I don't know if he maybe miscounted or got no rep at the end, but it looked like he was about to head out of the zone as Nick was leaving, got called back, and that could be significant because now Nick Riker is in a relatively comfortable 4th place.
We are just getting back with you. If there was an interruption in the feed, we got Ryland Shadeg. He's heading into zone number 5. He's on the ski erg. That's 500 meters. He's in 1st place right now. Anas should be, Anas is right behind him, and Mark Adet. So these 3 gentlemen are now in zone 5, 500 meters on the ski erg. And we've got Xander back with us.
Momentary technical disruption, but we're back. Nick Riker into this zone in at 4th place. A big gap on 5th coming up. Yeah, you see Mark there in 3rd, Nick in 4th.
Yeah, this is going to come down to efficiency on the ski erg. You know, when DEKA was first released, that's Joe Kilmer coming in 5th place, by the way. But when DEKA first got going, the ski erg, if you could watch videos, it was ugly. The people on the ski erg, people weren't really familiar. Things have really come a long way. They put a lot of effort and practice into the ski erg, so it's going to really help also dictate how things go as they head out for the next run.
As these guys work through the ski erg, I want to let you know if you can hang with the best of DEKA, the next DEKA Series race is March 4th in Knoxville. Sign up today at DEKA.fit and watch the action live only here on the OCR Report.
Yeah, and like we were talking about earlier with DEKA Strong and DEKA Mile, you can also go to DEKA.fit. You can search for any local gyms, our DEKA affiliates, and they're putting on these races every couple months. In my area alone, down in South Florida, we have one every 3 months, every couple months.
And I'm actually doing my first DEKA Mile next weekend here in Jacksonville. So excited to throw down myself as Ryland comes out of the ski erg here on run number 6. Essentially the halfway point of this race, even though we know that the air bike is still moving.
Yeah, and it looks Mark has really nice form when it comes to that ski. So I think he's going to be coming out right there next to Anas. Let's see what happens. Anas just went out. Well, he's still tugging away, so maybe he slowed down that pace. Well, there he goes. Okay, he's heading out.
Yeah, maybe a 6 or 7 second gap, 10 seconds at the most between Mark and Anas. So still very much in it. And right now that looks like, for now, your podium, although Nick Riker is hunting as he comes out here on run number 6 in a comfortable 4th place.
Yeah, and they're just finishing zone 5, so we're only halfway through this race, pushing a really, a 30-minute pace at this point, but we have yet to hit what I would say the meat and potatoes of this race, where we get to the air bike, the 25 calories. It is really a nightmare, especially when you've been working this hard through the first 6 zones.
Yeah, Ryland Shattuck coming in, at least last year, was the only one of these athletes to go under 30 minutes, and he went under 28, the fastest DEKA Fit time. But again, we're just over 15 and a half minutes in. So, yeah, just past the halfway point. This is run 6 out of 10. As you saw there, Ryland is now almost lapped Joe Kilmer in 5th. So you can see a big gap being put in by the front of this field as Ryland continues to assert himself as he's ready to come into the next station.
Yep, and that's it. He's heading into the zone 6. This is a 100-meter farmer's carry, 60-pound dumbbells in each hand. He has quite a pace. We expect him to go unbroken. Most of these athletes to carry without setting down the weight.
Yeah, kind of like the box step overs. A few of these stations are more just get through them, and most guys will go at a fairly similar pace, but it does tax you a little bit differently. It's been a lot of lower body and core up to this point, and now, the arms do get a bit of a workout, which comes into play later on with kind of the full body exercise of the burpees to finish it off.
And you see Ryan already finishing up with zone number 6. He's out the door. Anas not too far behind him. Looks like he's about halfway through his 100 meters right now. Close behind him is Mark Cadet and Nick Riker. Yep, that's Cadet in 3rd and Riker in 4th.
Yeah, it looks like about the same distance between Anas and Mark as Mark and Nick. But Nick Riker is definitely on the hunt. He managed his effort early, as you see now Joe in 5th in the farmer's carry as well. So a 20-plus second gap for Ryland coming out of this station. He's definitely increased that more and more as this race has gone on, but coming up next is the air bike, and that's going to tell us a lot about how the rest of the race is going to unfold.
Yeah, depending on how these athletes are feeling, you're going to see anything from 45, 50 seconds to a minute and a half on the bike, maybe more. Once again, it's going to depend on the pace they've been pushing. Everybody's a little bit different, but the top 2 or 3 you'll see under a minute for sure if they want to hold on to that spot.
Yeah, we'll try to start a clock on Ryland as he comes into this, as he finishes up this run number 7. Again, you got 4 stations left. The air bike coming up next, then the dead ball wallovers, the tank push and pull, and then the ram burpees to finish it off. So this is run number 7 as Ryland gets set to come into the air bike here momentarily.
Yeah, and as I mentioned in the World Championship, he got onto the bike, but did struggle a little bit, got passed up. So it'll be interesting to see how he's feeling when he gets in there now. And there he goes. He's put it on. And he's
Ryland
hammering
onto the bike.
He is absolutely hammering that bike right now. I don't know what he's at as far as cadence, but you can tell he's working. He's put the work in. He's feeling a lot better and looking a lot better, certainly, than he was at the World Championship.
Yeah, Ryland started the bike 25 seconds before Anas came in, and with Ryland hammering this hard, you think that he'll have a similar gap coming out of it as you see Anas and now Mark coming in right next to him, 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, this is where the rubber meets the road, as I mentioned before. It's the meat and potatoes of the work, and Ryland's done. He's onto his run.
That was about 48 seconds for Ryland on the air bike, so he definitely threw down and let everyone know that he's got plenty left in the tank for this last third of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see these other 2 guys. This is 2nd and 3rd we're looking at right now. They're working, but you can see the pain in Anas's face there. This bike is trouble. That's Joe Kilmer. He's coming in 5th place right now. Riker in 4th. Seems to be hammering away. So this could be where Riker makes his move. He definitely looks like he's working a lot harder or at least not hurting quite as bad as those other gentlemen.
Yeah, there's a pretty noticeable difference in cadence with Nick Riker on one side and then Anas and Mark on the other. Nick is definitely getting after it, and it'll be interesting to see how that gap looks when those 3 guys finish up 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Yeah, and you can see in your screen there, we're going to say, we just lost it, but that's all right. We're going to go big, wide there. Anas is out the gate. It looks like so is Riker. So now Riker has made his move. He's in front of Anas. He's in 2nd place. Anas is holding 3rd. Yep. Gaudet
so not only did
dropped to 4th.
Yeah, not only did Nick Riker pass Mark Gaudet, but he also passed Anas, went from 4th to 2nd in that one station. So we talked about the air bike coming in. It didn't impact the very front of the race because Ryland threw down a sub-50 time. But you see Nick Riker coming out in 2nd, but now Anas is going to catch him and pass him here on this run.
Yeah, Riker he was hammering that bike as well. Anas was taking it a little easier, so maybe Riker's going to pay for it on these runs, because it looks like Anas is going to pull away just a little bit more as they head into Zone 8, which is the dead ball wall over.
And Ryland is just behind them, almost lapping 2nd and 3rd place. That shows you just how much of a gap that air bike effort helped him open up, as he is already into the dead balls about 3 or 4 reps in.
Yeah, he's being really efficient. He's getting the feet over the bar. You got to have them inside the bar before you lift it and toss it over. He could be a little less sloppy with tossing the ball, buy him some time, but I think he knows what he's working with as far as where everybody else is, so he doesn't have to go too nuts.
Saw Mark Gaudet run by on the picture-in-picture. He's in 4th place after that air bike, but a guy with an ultra-endurance background certainly has the engine to maybe try and make up some ground if he still has enough left in the tank here on these final 3 stations.
Yeah, and that may have been part of his plan. Take it a little easier on the bike. You might lose a little bit, but he knows that he can catch them on the run and after this dead ball over.
So Ryland out right as Anas and Nick come in, and they're pretty much neck and neck. Anas a split second ahead of Nick coming into this zone as the 2 of them go through these dead ball overs.
Come on, fellas, let's go.
Yeah, we're watching these guys now. These are 20 dead ball overs. And yeah, once again, they are neck and neck. Let's see who heads out first. I believe Anas came in about a rep ahead of him.
And it's a 60-pound weight for these guys, so the weight in and of itself isn't too taxing, but it's just the fact that this comes so close after the air bike. You can see that Nick has definitely slowed down a little bit, as we'll get a sense of who comes out in second. And Nick makes up some time again on the stations, and he's got a bigger gap now than they did coming out of the air bike, as here comes Anas, still in third place, but a lot more ground to make up if he wants to run Nick down again.
Yeah, and then we got Marco Del, we lost him there. Ryland still hammering away on this run, looking stronger than ever. He's actually coming up on Riker, so there is quite a gap, probably about a minute or so between them. Probably give him a little tap, little encouragement there.
And that's first place lapping second place, to put in some context of the effort that Ryland is putting out here today.
Yeah, he's hammering away on that run. He's only got 2 stations to go, zone 9, zone 10, the tank push-pull, and then, of course, the weighted burpee with that 44-pound ram. That's third place right there. Anas looking good with his run, looking strong. He held back a bit on that bike, but I think that was a smart move. He's looking pretty good.
So now Ryland already into the first pull. So we missed him coming into the station, but he's got 5 down and back, so 100 meters total of the tank push and pull. So 5 by 10 meters in each direction. You've got to make sure you get the studs past the red line in each direction. But yeah, you see him just putting out that effort, knowing that he's nearing the finish line of this race with only 1 run and 20 burpees after this.
Yeah, with this too, I mean, the tank only goes so fast. As you can see, he's not trying to go too crazy. You can either do the motion that he's doing where you just give it the pull, or a rowing motion, give it a tug, take a few steps and give it a tug. I think that usually depends on how you're feeling during the race, or what kind of, how close the race can be.
As we saw during Yancey's demonstration, as now Nick Riker comes in, I think Ryland's onto his 3rd pull. So more than halfway through the station as Nick starts in second place, with Anas right behind him. So again, Anas made up ground on the run. This time he didn't pass Nick, but they're at the same point where you see Nick just finishing push number 1, as Anas maybe 3 or 4 seconds behind him.
Yeah, all these gentlemen going with the same type of technique. Oh, there you go. See Anas doing that rowing motion. Sometimes I feel when the heart rate's jacked up, it's easier to do something like that. Try to bring it back down a bit, breathe, step.
Second and third, if you
but everybody's going to do it a little bit different. These gentlemen are pretty close. Riker just a little bit ahead of Anas. And, of course, Ryland, I think, finishing up his 5th lap right now. So he'll be heading out for the run and into zone 10.
Yeah, you can walk it straight back like Ryland is doing, or you can do that rowing technique that we see Anas and Nick doing. You just can't turn around and walk with it behind you, as we saw Yancey go through during the demonstration. So yeah, Ryland is out. He's on to his 10th and final run with only 20 ramp burpees to go, as Riker is now putting a bit more of a gap. This is the 3rd station in a row where we've seen Nick Riker put a ton of time into Anas on the station, and Anas has only got 1 more run. We've seen him make up ground on every run, in these last few. But with only 1 more run, I think Nick Riker knows that he's got a 2nd place there waiting for him.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's gonna come out and hammer this run to get to the burpees, because if he can get to the burpees and throw 5 or 6 down before Anas walks in, then he should be able to lock it up. We know first place is, the rest of this crowd is fighting for second, but it is still super close. Even Mark Gaudette is now in there. I think he's starting his 2nd lap on the push-pull.
Yeah, so 2nd through 5th are here on this tank push-pull, as Ryland is going to come into burpee any second now. You've got Nick Riker in 2nd, and Anas Dowry in 3rd, as Riker comes out onto this 10th and final run, and Mark Audette in 4th, Joe Kilmer in 5th. Those have been the top 5 for pretty much the entire race, but we've had a lot of shakeup between that 2nd through 5th spot as this race has gone on.
Yeah, it seemed like things happened just like we were talking about, right around that air bike, farmer's carry area. Once you hit that air bike, you can either hammer it and keep that hammer rolling, or you'll fall apart. And we saw a little bit of everything happen today. Rylan,
so here we go, Rylan Shadig into
the
10th and final station. Just got 20 ram burpees with this 44-pound ram between him, and you can see the finish line about 10 meters to his left.
Yep, there's Anas in 3rd, trailing behind Riker. We're definitely going to see Rylan will probably put a sub 29 if he can continue this pace. Won't be a world record, which he holds, but it'll certainly be
Come on, let's go,
very
let's go.
fast time.
Push it, you got it.
Yeah, 28:28 is Rylan's
done.
world record, so he's about 20 seconds past that now, but an impressive time for a season opener here at DEKA FIT Austin.
Yep, he's got a few more. 2 more for Rylan. And this will be his last one. He's going to go through the finish line, unofficially finishing at 29:09. And if we take a look back, if we can get a view on the other guys who's coming into the burpees. Oh, there's Riker. Okay. Riker's coming into his burpees now.
Let's go.
Nick Riker getting some encouragement, knowing that Anas is coming, but Nick looking at, a sub 31 here most likely as he gets into these ram burpees. Looks like he is 3 reps in before Anas starts.
Yep, 3 burpees ahead. So if Anas can crank it up, he might be able to take that 2nd spot, but it looks like Riker's got the pace to hold it up.
Second and third next to each other. Nick Riker was in 4th place for a lot of this race, made his move on the air bike, passing 3rd and 2nd, went back and forth with Anas on some of those runs, but has set the tone and is less than 10 burpees away from claiming 2nd place here at DEKA FIT Austin.
Yeah, just a few burpees separate these gentlemen. They're really pushing it. Riker's still got a nice pace. Anas right there with him. I think he's going to finish about 10 or 12 seconds behind him. It is going to be tight, though. There's
Mark Gaudet in 4th
Gaudet.
place comes in. And there's Nick Riker, 2nd place, unofficially 30-35. A come-from-behind effort to get himself on the podium and in that 2nd spot here at DEKA FIT Austin. $500 for Nick Riker as Anas, just a few burpees left. Here he is, making his way across the finish line, putting in a solid effort to go sub 31 and claim that 3rd place spot.
Yeah, and you can see these guys are hurting. They left it all out there. They pushed that pace the entire time. Even Rylan, being as far ahead as he was, kept continuing to push that pace. Almost beat his own record, world record there. And Mark Gaudet just wrapping up. He's got a few burpees remaining. 5th place, we got Joe Kilmer coming in. So he'll be taking that 5th place spot if he can just hold where he's at. 6th place has not come in.
Yeah, both Nick and Anas were pretty close to their fastest times from last year here in this race. In 2022, Nick Riker had the 6th fastest DEKA FIT time with a 30:20. Anas was 11th with a 30:53. Both of those guys went sub 31 here, so right on their best with a season opener. So big things expected to see from both of those guys as Mark Gaudet just above 32 minutes coming in 4th place here.
Let's go, Laz. Come on, man.
Laz going, he's hammering away at those burpees. If he keeps that pace, he may jump into 5th or 6th place.
Hey, that pace can get you 5th. Let's go.
In the corner there, Joe Kilmer back there, he's moving, but that pace is serious for Lazaro Perez. Can he sustain that? We will see in just a moment. I believe
Joe
that
Kilmer
Joe
on the
Kilmer's
left.
got about 4.
on the left in blue shorts, Lazaro Perez in the black, closest to the finish line. You can tell he has got a lot less of a tank compared to these other guys doing burpees.
And what a cadence they have on those burpees. That's fantastic. After 30 minutes of pushing to move like that, they're all very fit. There's Joe Kilmer. He's going to cross into fifth. Laz, at this, looks like he's going to take that sixth place spot. He sets it down, and yep, he took sixth place. Oh, that's 8 and
big
9.
Pack. Yeah, big pack there coming in 6th through, I think, 9th. Well under 33:30 for all these guys. Again, strong times all the way around here in this lead field.
Yeah, and like you said, this is just the season opener. So we got Knoxville coming up on March 4th. A lot of events throughout the year. They're down here in South Florida in September. So plenty of opportunities to get into World Championships.
Dude, that's what I'm talking about. Burpees, baby.
Yeah, and it's spread out pretty well, right? With about 3 or 4 weeks in between these early season races. So enough time to sharpen back up, put in some good work, you know, see what happened, how this race unfolded for you, and know what you have to work on. Yeah, like you said, March 4th is Knoxville, April 1st. So about 4 weeks after that is California. So we had some California athletes come over here today, and expect to see a lot of them in that race as well. And then into early May. So yeah, these first 4 races all spread about 3 or 4 weeks apart, which is exciting. And we should see some other athletes come in and put themselves in the mix as well. There's Johnny finishing up, trying to make a run at going under 35, as Dustin Needham now comes in to finish off his ramp burpees as well.
Yeah, even under 35 minutes, 36 minutes, still very fast time.
Come on, Dustin.
You got to think these stations, these guys are laying down. Johnny was in World Championships, I believe, for the DEKA Strong, and they were putting down times in 13 minutes. So, you know, then you're talking a 21-minute 5K with all of that work included. You know, it's a lot of work, but they're all some of the fittest out there.
Yeah, in 2022, the top 24 times were all just under 33 minutes. So, you know, the top 8 here in this race all came in right, you know, maybe a few of them just above 33, but putting themselves in that mix there is now Johnny comes across right at about 35:30.
Watching Dustin wrap up on his burpees.
Come on, Dustin. Come on, buddy. You're getting the highlight right now. Let's go. No pressure. Come on, baby. Come on.
Getting some motivation from our camera crew. He's chipping away. Looking good, looking strong with those burpees. That's it.
And there we go. Dustin Needham comes across. And, yeah, that just goes to show you wherever you are in the field, you're putting out an incredible amount of effort in these, you know, 30, 35 minutes. And good to see Dustin Needham finishing strong here on this race.
Hey, real quick, guys, let's get Laz talking about those burpees, if you don't mind. If you can hear us.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, Laz, go ahead, man. Talk us through those burpees.
He came right ahead of the guy that was right behind me. I was trying to get one rep ahead of him by the time we got to the burpees. And I just managed to keep that rip, one rip ahead of him to the finish line.
Now, did you purposely save that energy for the burpees, or
I kind of little bit in the tank. I knew I needed it when I got to the finish.
It was doing that DEKA Strong against me last week in that pushy, wasn't it? Good job, dude. Way to push it, man. Good job, man.
Yeah, like he was saying, you know, it's a great opportunity, those DEKA Strong, DEKA Miles, to test your fitness, see how you are at some of those stations without having to throw yourself into the entire 5K. Some people, you know, are stronger runners than others. So, you know, as he just said, he just did a DEKA Strong. He knew how he was going to feel going into those burpees, so he held back a bit, but then he was able to let loose as he came through. knock out those 20 and jump a few spots.
Yeah, and I don't know if he knew how close he might have been to 5th place, but
guys,
you heard from him there. He came in with that intention to make sure he held on to that 6th place spot, and he did just that. So as we're going to hear from Dustin Needham here, I think, momentarily.
Slippery. I brought some alphas too, and I was like, for vapors.
All right, Dustin, this is your first ever DEKA Fit, right? And you have made yourself last year an elite Spartan contender. So it seems like you want to try to give the hybrid racing a little bit of a shot. Describe the difference between this experience and an obstacle course experience, man.
No, it's similar to the feeling you'll feel like in a stadium, except that it hurts a lot sooner. It really gets real once you leave the ski erg. I heard about that, so I kind of paced it early, but at the same time, I wish I went out a little harder. Usually in like OCR, we all fire out the gates super fast, and if you can hold on, you have a good time. So in hindsight, I wish I went out earlier, because it all hurts the same at the end, but it was painfully fun.
Good deal, man. Will we see you at a future DEKA Fit race?
Definitely, and later on today, I'm going to team up with Rylan.
Oh, let's go.
The best.
Let's go.
We're going to run it back.
All right. Good job, dude. Great job, buddy.
So it sounds like Dustin Needham and Rylan Shattuck are going to be thrown down here in the team relay later on today. We won't have that coverage, but I'm sure it'll be on OCR Report stories or elsewhere on social media. That should be a fun one as well, because you add the relay component and it's even more intense.
Yeah, and you can strategize that, I believe, any way that you want as far as the running and the stations are concerned.
So it looks like we have our unofficial top 10 results. You might be able to get those here on the screen momentarily. But again, Rylan Shattuck with the win. We'll hopefully have those results here up in a second. But, we heard from Dustin there, Joe, where he was talking about how it really started to get real for him after the skier. And that's tough because, you got the air bike 2 stations after that. So when it starts to hurt that early on, for him to finish strong and get through those burpees was the way he did was impressive. But it just goes to show you that, like, there's no rest, there's no recovery, there's no real gaps when it gets real. You're put in a hole and you've just got to power through for the rest of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And I heard him say something, he wishes he would have went a little harder in the beginning maybe, and that's just going to come with experience. You figure out what works for you. And your race style. Like you mentioned earlier, Rich Ryan at World Championships hung back in the beginning, but we know his running is just another level. So he held back those first few stations, kept the running super strong, and was able to etch it out. And that, again, experience time. This is Dustin's first time doing the DEKA Fit, so we'll see him again, and I'm sure we'll see improvement. 36 minutes and 3 seconds unofficially, and that's still a fantastic time to put him inside the top 10.
Yeah, you were talking about the approach that Rich Ryan took in the World Championship last year, and that was kind of the blueprint that Nick Riker followed today. Rylan and Anas took it out hard, and Nick was there back in 5th place through the first 3 or 4 runs and stations, and then he slowly worked his way up into 4th and made his move on the air bike. Again, we talked about it as it was happening, but just impressive to see him make up that gap from 2nd to 4th, as now we get the results here up on the screen. Rylan Shattuck, 29.09. Pretty close to going sub 29 here in a season opener. Nick Riker is about 20 seconds behind him in 2nd, put a big gap on Anas, who came in 3rd place just under 31 minutes. And Mark Gaudet in 4th. Looks like Lazaro Perez, we're still waiting for that official time. So he was not a 32.05, but I think he was 6th behind Joe Kilmer, but you can see there just impressive effort in that pack 6, 7, 8, and I think Lazaro was in there as well, really close together. And so even if they weren't at the front of the race, I mean, there was a lot of back and forth action. And I think when you've got guys to race with, even in that mid pack, it helps you bring the best out of yourself and your competitors as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we can jump over, I think we have Nick Riker. Maybe he's going to have a few words with Nick.
I think could be wrong though. I think it could be. I didn't see it. So, hey, do you guys want to get a quick interview with Nick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Let's hear from Nick Recker.
Do you guys want to ask questions, or do you?
Got a question?
Sure, yeah. If he can hear us, we can.
Okay, sounds good. All right, Nick. So walk us through it today, man. You came in battling basically for third and fourth at the beginning. You made your move halfway into the race. Walk us through it a little bit, man. You hammered that assault bike.
Yeah, you want to flash back to November World Championship. I just went out way too hot. Had one of the most disappointing finishes in my life, I felt like. So today I said, I'm not in great shape. We're going to go out easy. I know Ryan was in good shape. I know Anas was in good shape. Mark Content's a freak. So I said, I'm just going to see if I can go out easy. And the bike is something I work on a lot. So yeah, I knew going to the bike, I was in fourth. Probably about 10 seconds down, I came out in second, and I never came back. That was what I wanted to do, and I perfected it. I think I did the bike in 51 seconds or something, so made up a lot of ground. Very happy with the day. Don't know my exact time, but very good for February.
Yeah, fast time for sure on the assault bike, man. Walk us through after the bike. You knew Anas was right behind you. Did you feel comfortable keeping that lead for second, or did you know you had to gun it?
He came back. He passed me after the bike, after the first lap. And Anas is a freak. He's a sub-4-minute miler. He's been putting in a lot of miles. Like, he's a better runner than me. So I knew he extended a lot early, and I had a lot left in the tank. The ball over wall has been probably my worst station, and I really wanted to take intentionality. It has some urgency going back and forth, and I think that was my fastest ball over wall. I came out of there probably 20 seconds ahead of him, and I knew he wasn't going to pass me after that. I was feeling good. I knew he was just falling apart at that point.
Good deal, man. Are you pleased with your time and placement and effort today?
Yeah, I'm very pleased. I don't know my exact time, but very pleased with my effort. I've been doing a lot of strength training. I put on some weights for some other competitions coming up, so very pleased how this is. Again, it's only February. Now I'm on the redemption tour this year after my World Championship. I want to go back to Worlds. I want a podium. Today was a good step forward to that.
And of course, everyone at home wants to know, man, what is up next for Nick Recker? What you got planned?
I have a really fun competition called the Nashville Fit Games. It's more of like a CrossFit without any of the skill work, so it's pure fitness, but it's a lot of strength added to it. So that's why the strength training. Do that next weekend. Try to win the fittest in Nashville, get some really high level CrossFitters, and then I'll have the Savage Series coming up. But before that, I'll be in Knoxville because I live in Nashville, so pretty close by. Knoxville, DEKA Fit.
You got to represent hometown, right?
Right. Yeah.
Good deal, man. Nick Recker, second place, guys.
Thank you
Today, man. Good job, bud.
So Nick's a guy that we're going to be seeing in a few weeks, the second race of this series in Knoxville. But Joe, when we were hearing from Nick there, he kind of talked through how that panned out with, Anas having the running pedigree, going out harder with Rylan at the start. But Nick knew that if he just measured his effort, he might be able to make a move later, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, this race is all about the back half, the back third. All these guys are great runners. Anas, like he said, is a sub-4-minute miler, but once you start stacking those 500s and then you start hitting that, once I said in the beginning, that assault bike, it can make or break you. You see a lot of guys putting a ton of work into it, even the ski erg, as you are heading in zone 5. The ski erg taxes your whole body, your core. If you go too hard on that, it can really tear you apart. And running while you're tired is what is what this race is. It's being able to push that pace the entire time and push those zones.
Rylan, you got to do an interview, boss man? All right, of course.
Looks like we're going to hear from Rylan Shattuck, today's winner, here momentarily.
All right, guys. I got Rylan here. All right, Rylan, walk us through it, man. Did you know coming into this, did you feel pretty confident coming out with the W? Did you feel confident in your effort today? Walk us through it.
To be honest, I was kind of training for a longer event. I was training for High Rocks until about 3 weeks ago, so I was working on a lot more base building. Also, I'm at the beginning of my season, so really I just treated this race like a workout, and it's early in the season, so I think it's important to do that. I really like hybrid racing, but I also have some big goals in the fall and in the summer, so I'm trying to be careful, since I race a lot, to not rest too much before races. So my legs are a little sore, but that's the cool thing about your body is you might feel a little lackadaisical a couple days leading up to it, but on race morning your body comes around, God gives you what you got, and you just kind of send it. So that's what I did, and I had a good time. Honestly, Ados was like holding. I just was happy to kind of follow him and race with him for a bit. I didn't want to solo from the beginning, and I think it was when we came off of the med ball sit-ups, I decided, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna start racing my own race and see like how I can pace the rest of it. And I had a good time. It was really painful but good.
At any time when you started pushing away, because I was just about to ask you about your strategy, anytime pushing away, did you know you knew you couldn't let back with the Nas and Mark and Nick right behind you, or did you feel pretty comfortable with that lead once you started pushing away?
To be honest, I never feel comfortable. It's like at least for me, it's more like DEKA FIT is the only race you can show up to right now where you can gauge where your fitness is at compared to other events. Like High Rocks has a rock zone problem, so it could be like 3 minutes faster or slower than your actual fitness level, or even up to 6 minutes, so it's really hard to gauge. But here, it's more of like, okay, once I get into my flow, I'm going for where's my fitness at, where do I feel weak, where do I feel strong. Like my assault bike felt much better because I've been hitting more assault bike. My running was definitely slower because I've been training for like a longer event. Like I'm in my base build phase of training, so not doing a lot of speed work. I felt that today, so I never felt comfortable because you never know when someone like Nick Riker, he turned it on the last lap and the last few stations, and he like took 3 spots. So you never feel comfortable, never take anything for granted. Like you're here to race, get the best out of yourself. So that's how I race.
So you're training for a longer race. Are we going to see you at a future DEKA FIT High Rocks based race, or what's the next up and coming hybrid race for you then?
So Houston is in 2 weeks. That might be my last High Rocks. We'll see.
Do you want to walk us through the little controversy as well too, or does that stay for another day?
Basically, I just like I like to go where I'm wanted. So if I don't feel like a race organization wants me, then to be honest, there's better races out there. I like being outside too. So like between Spartan and OCR, like there's so many OCR races plus DEKA FIT and DEKA FIT being more standardized. Like I like to support events that support the people that race them. So High Rocks is a great race. It's super fun. But I also I am more focused on DEKA FIT now. So I'll still show up and slam any race I feel like. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm never going to race, but my focus has shifted, and I've definitely got some fun plans about this year. So.
Awesome, man. Cool. So High Rocks Houston's the next hybrid race we'll see then in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Cool deal, man. All right, buddy. Good work today. Good job, Ryan. Of course, man.
Here we're taking a look back at Ryan as he was crossing the finish line, finishing up with those burpees.
Yeah, as we heard from Nick and Rylan there, Joe, it's an interesting combination of just like training philosophies or styles heading into this event, right? Nick talked about being frustrated by his performance and motivated by it at World Championships and really specifically dialed himself in to be ready for this event to set the tone for his season. And Rylan talked about having big goals in the mountains in the summer and being more of a base building phase coming in fatigued. And yet those are the top 2 finishers. So it's interesting that you can take different routes to prepare yourself for a race like this. And regardless of your level of training specificity, you're still going to be putting in a big effort and throwing down. So it's super interesting to hear from those 2 guys talking about their different approaches, over the last few months heading into this event.
Yeah, absolutely. He was mentioning, that he felt a little slower. I mean, even though he was looking pretty good on those runs, feeling a little slower because he's been doing some longer stuff, but felt better about that bike, which we saw, by keeping it around 50 seconds or so. So, most of these guys are training all different facets, especially as hybrid racing becomes more prevalent. So you'll see a lot more of that in the future.
And Rylan also talked about he just didn't really feel good at any point. As much as we talk about, this station you can recover a little bit, or, it's not quite as taxing as the air bike, for example. Like, you're still in a world of hurt, for all 30-ish minutes of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. From 3, 2, 1, go. Through that last burpee, it's 110%. You know, a few guys. Nick Riker, for instance, he had a really good approach there. He was looking really composed, kept himself at a decent rate for the first couple of runs, but then hammered it as they headed into the air bike. Actually, also,
Yeah.
so you know, again, 5-6-7 zone 5-6-7. If you can start off and keep a nice pace, and then control yourself as you head into those, and you know, you can put down a nice time. Once again, top 10 guys putting 36 minutes or less, so all really good times out there.
Alex.
Want to remind you that
Looks
for
like-
the latest in hybrid fitness news, race results, and live race coverage, be sure to follow the OCR Report on Instagram. If you're looking for today's DEKA race results, follow at the OCR Report on Instagram today. So we're getting a look now at our women's field in the warm-up zone, getting ready. Alex Walker and some others putting their finishing preparations, as you know, we're probably just a few minutes away from our women's race getting underway.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be calling out the ladies' names and get them to the start line. Once again, just like when we were getting ready for the men, these ladies have been warmed up for probably a while, watching the gentlemen run for a bit, but getting their own warm-ups in, ready to hammer this race, and now just trying to stay loose as we get ready and get them up to the start line.
How are you doing? Good. I think it's better, but I still think I'm not like running.
So Alex Walker was second place here at this event in Austin last year. She's also the DEKA FIT team world record holder along with Bridget Brown. So we saw with Mark Gaudette having that, you know, team relay pedigree coming into this race. Alex is in the same boat. I know she's going to be racing the relay later today, as well as several other athletes. So look at Alex Walker there getting ready. You'd expect her to be up front of this race, either from the start or as this thing gets underway.
All right, that's looking good. That's looking good for our first wave.
I've done a couple stadiums, but yeah, this is the first DEKA I want to do.
Not sure if you could hear that in the background, but one of our athletes talking about they had done some stadium races. This is their first DEKA. So, you know, again, this is still a relatively new sport. It's people who have dipped their toes in the OCR world, or maybe with a CrossFit or even just a traditional running background. More and more talented athletes are finding this sport, and it's just a great, you know, for lack of a better term, hybrid of all kinds of different backgrounds with people coming together to get after it.
Yeah, and it's got a little bit of that stadium feel. That's why when you hear them talk about it, you know, and it usually attracts those types of athletes. It's indoors. A lot of stadiums tend to be, you know, when they depending on where they are, you don't have to deal with the elements quite as much. You still have some of the same things like the burpees with the ram, especially as of late.
So the same race format here for the women. Again, 10 500-meter runs, 10 stations after each one. Same number of reps. The only difference is the weighted stations, the weights are slightly different. So you've got a 33-pound lunge, a 14-pound med ball sit-up, 40 pounds in each hand for the farmer's carry, a 40-pound dead ball wall over, and a 20-pound, I should say, a 22-pound ram burpee. So, yeah, just a few minutes away as these women have finished their warm-ups, and as we saw with the men, kind of congregating just before the start line, as they should get called up to the start here in just a few minutes. So unlike in the men's race, we don't have any competitors from the DEKA FIT World Championship in Atlantic City here in this one, but that's a great opportunity for some of these other athletes to set the tone for their season, get on a podium, and let everyone know that they're here and they're ready to throw down.
Where's Maddox? Oh, okay.
Yeah, definitely a few new names. A lot of Texas love in this ladies' heat. Certainly a lot of local people. We have Liz Kelly from Austin out of HIT Athletic. Oh, and they're going to go through names right now. So we'll go to our screen and listen for those names.
Bridget Brown from Iron Feet and Yancey Camp, let's hear it for Alex Walker!
Twirl. Yeah. No
And
handstand walk.
For this former Baylor Bear track and field athlete from Houston, Texas, Bree Schrader. Bree Schrader, if you're here, come on down. Bree Schrader. I think she is not here. All right, moving on. From representing SCE Fitness from Pretty Lake, Washington, let's hear it for Leslie Hackett. Representing Lifetime from Castle Rock, Colorado, let's hear it for Carrie Nakuda. All right, representing Hosek PE from Meridian, Idaho, let's hear it for Amber Nelson. From Embody Fitness, representing
Let's go, Holly!
Texas, let's hear it for Holly. Representing El Fuego from Spring, Texas, let's hear it for Brandy Woodall. All right, representing Rebel Fitness from Leander, Texas, let's make some noise for Kirsty Russell. Representing Hit Athletic from right here in Austin, Texas, make some noise for Liz Kelly. And representing CrossFit Flower Mound from Latana, Texas, make some noise for Christina Kibner.
Well, all the ladies have been called out. It sounds like Bree Schrader did not make it out, so the rest of the athletes seem to be accounted for. And we're going to get ready to kick off this elite women for first wave.
Bye, Yancy.
Yeah, I think we talked about Bree coming into this race on the start list with a former D1 track and field background. Was excited to see her throw it down. She's not here, but we've got close to 10 women who are and ready to get after it. So again, Alex Walker right up there in front in the middle, the rest of this field as well. We'll see how the race unfolds, whether it's like the men's race where a couple of athletes take it out right from the start or if there's more of a pack. So we're just seconds away from getting underway here at our women's race.
Yeah, once again, Alexandra Walker, probably the favorite out there in the field. Not familiar with a lot of the other names, but she is one of the, as you mentioned, team world record holders with Bridget Brown. So should be exciting to see it the time that she puts down today. You can also be sure to follow for DEKA results. Follow at the OCR Report on Instagram.
So that front row here, it's Alex Walker in the middle, Leslie Hackett in the red top, and then the lighter greenish tank is Carrie Nakura. So the three of them at least lining up at the start. We'll see if that means that they're going to take it out harder, but we'll find out shortly.
Almost ready, ladies. Almost ready. Ready? First timers in this group? Any first timers at all?
It'll be interesting to see the approach that these ladies take or how Alexandra starts with this first 500 meters. If she's going to come out super hot or allow the other ladies to dictate the pace while they get into these first few stations.
Yeah, I think some of the delay in the time here is they're making sure that they get the men's weights off the course and the women's weights on for some of those stations, like the dead ball overs and the burpees and everything like that. That way there's no guesswork, right? Like later in the day when the age group heats start, you've got both weights out there, and we've seen in the past, accidentally someone grabs the wrong weight, and, if you're on the men's side, it's kind of giving you an extra advantage, and if you're on the women's side, it's making it a little harder on yourself than you need it to. So they're making sure the course is clear, which is great for these elite races, to make sure it's a totally pristine course with only the appropriate and standardized weights for all these stations. So I think that's what they're kind of finishing up right now, making sure the timing is ready to go as well. as you can see, athletes kind of shifting back and forth, just ready to get into this first run and get into it.
Yeah, it's hard to stay warm in there too. It's a temperature controlled room. It's usually a little chilly, especially once you've taken everything off and you're just wearing what you normally work out in. Because typically in a lot of these gyms that we're in, there's no air conditioning for the most part. So it's a little bit of a different thing. But the climate control is nice, being that you don't have to deal with whatever the temperature might be outdoors, whether it's super hot or on the colder side in most of the country right now.
Or rain, wind, whatever other elements. That's something that does get completely taken out as a factor here in this race.
Absolutely.
So in the men's race, we saw Rylan Shattuck and Anas Suri take it out right from the start, as now the women are getting their watches set and ready to go. So it looks like we will have them underway here any second now. And here we go. Our women's race is underway, and Alex Walker takes it out right from the start.
Yep, as I mentioned, she's got that world record with Bridget Brown, so she's experienced. She's done the DEKA, she's done the strong, she's done the mile. So it'll be exciting to see what kind of individual time she puts down today.
And similar to Rylan, she's another athlete who's been kind of training for longer things. I know she threw her hat in the ring at the Bandera 100K a couple weeks ago. Been putting a lot of work in the mountains, but you can come down from that longer training, sharpen up, and be ready for a 30-ish minute effort, as we see her out in front here. And as with the men's race, we'll get a sense of how the pack is unfolding with everybody else as we go. It looks like that's Carrie, I think, in second place, with Alex opening up a bit of a gap early.
Yeah, it looked like Carrie Nakuda was in second place. Leslie Hackett right behind her. Both those ladies look like they're most of that pack right there. There's 4 or 5 together. They've got a nice pace going. Nothing too hot, but that's good probably as they're going to head into just the first station. So we're just at the beginning of this race. Still plenty of work to be done.
That was Amber Nelson, I think, in the purplish top in fourth place. So that's to get a sense of who these athletes are, where they stand as we're getting set for this first station here any moment now.
Let's
go, Alex.
Alex, now she's coming up to that first zone. Going to head into those burpees. Into those lunges, rather. That's fifth place right there. There we go.
So we got our top 3 all next to each other. Alex was in first with a bit of a gap, but we'll see what that looks like as they get done with this and into the next run.
All have about the similar pace and cadence as they're trying to knock out these lunges. Efficient, not overdoing it. You don't want to waste your legs too early in this race.
And Alex Walker's out. We'll start a clock to see what kind of gap she has finishing up these 30 lunges, as there she goes. And now in second place, right behind her was Leslie Hackett, about 7 seconds.
Was that Hackett, or it might have been...
I think Carrie might have snuck out right before. I think it's still them in the top 3, but yeah, you're right on that.
Yeah, for sure. You got it. Those 3 still holding those spots.
You got it, girl. Nice job.
There was Kirsty Noel coming out, kind of in that middle pack, as we get a look at Alex Walker making her way around the course, getting set.
Yeah, and she's holding an awesome pace on this run, similar to her first one. So if she can continue this, she'll hold on to that number 1 spot. She's got quite the gap. Yeah, and that's Carrie Nakuda and Leslie Hackett, I believe, 3 and 4.
I think that's Holly Meyer, I believe, in 4th place. So definitely a big gap opening up with the 4 of them. And actually misspoke earlier. So there are men's heats happening at the same time. So that is going to be, one dynamic for them to navigate is there's going to be extra traffic on course here, maybe compared to our men's heat early. And, there's plenty of room to operate, kind of in this perimeter of the course, but it's just an extra element that they're going to have to contend with as they make their way around these 10 runs.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want, again, precious time can be wasted just, using the wrong equipment for some of these zones.
What you got? Who do you think top 3 today? As we got Alex coming in.
Alexandra Walker, she's just getting into the rower, strapping in. She's having an issue with the foot strap, so that could cost her some time. 2nd place also, so they're both on the rowers starting just about the same time. 3rd place now, heading into the zone as well.
Yeah, Leslie in 3rd place came in about 15 seconds after Alex, but because of that, just issue with getting her feet set, that'll close this gap, and we'll see how the gap may have shifted as they work through this 500-meter row.
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, precious seconds, and especially when these races are this close. So fighting with the equipment, knowing how to properly get in and out with the foot straps, anything can happen. Sometimes wanting to check your equipment beforehand or at least get an idea of what you're working with.
There's a look at Karen Nakura, who came in 2nd place, but as you mentioned, Joe, started the row about the same time as Alex. We're just about 6 minutes into this event.
Yep, and they're probably, it's hard to see what pace she's pulling right now. Look like a sub 2-minute pace, though.
What 2nd and 3rd have to do to beat Alex Walker today?
I think we may have sub 34 from Alex, low 34, sub 34. So I think what they're going to have to do is manage the gap. If they let her get a big gap, it's over.
That's right. We know Walker's tough as nails. That's right.
Yeah,
so you hear there from the man himself, Yancey, talking about maybe 34 minutes is the target time for Alex Walker and these other newer athletes to DEKA trying to throw down and hang on.
Yeah, and they're still ripping away on those rowers. Having a tough time picking out what their pace is currently, but
you got lots of race left. Lots of race left.
2:02 right there. She's sitting in 4th place, pulling a 2:02. That's a great pace on that rower. And there goes Alexandra Walker. She's on her way out. And Carrie Nakuda also right behind her. But we know that Alexandra's running is top-notch.
That was a 6-second gap, so Carrie did make up some time. As here comes Leslie still in 3rd place. So that 1, 2, 3 has opened up a little bit, although Holly Meyer making up some time as well in 4th.
Yeah, those 4 are going to be in a little bit of a pack. Alexandra with maybe just a little bit of an edge on the other 3, but it's still pretty early in the race. Anything is possible.
That was Brandy Woodall, I believe, coming out in 5th. So she finds herself in a similar position to Nick Riker, kind of alone in that 5th place spot. But if you can stay on it, there's opportunities to make up time later on with some of these other stations.
Let's see. We can go over. Maybe we'll follow Alexandra. There she is. Yeah, she's still keeping an excellent pace on that run, looking just like the beginning of the race. So she'll work her way around. She's going to head into zone number 3, which is the box jump overs, or step overs, rather.
An athlete with a lot of experience here in DEKA FIT, so you think that she has a sense of the effort she needs to maintain, knowing what's ahead of her with some of these later stations and 7 more runs after this. You can see Carrie there coming up, trying to make some ground. Not as familiar with her background as far as an athlete, but she's definitely establishing herself in second place, making sure that she keeps Alex in sight, you know, with some of these more intense stations coming up later.
And if you were just noticing on your screen, we had the women's row times. Now they're into the box jumps. So as we're going through these, you may see some of those stats pop up and the difference in time as they're getting in and out of those stations.
And it looked like Carrie made up 3 or 4 seconds on that run, because I think Alex Walker came out about 6 seconds in front. It was only a 2 or 3 second gap coming into these box step overs.
Yeah, and Alexandra needs to be careful there. The efficiency, you know, something definitely to work on with those jumps. She's looking tired, but she's already out of that zone. She's on her way. But those efficient box jump overs from Carrie helped her catch up. There was only about 3 or 4 seconds gap as they came out of that zone.
Yeah, you can see Leslie here, who just came off screen, but on the left side, you know, she doesn't have any wasted movement there. She's going straight across, no extra turning, and that may help her either make up some time or just put a bigger gap on 4th place.
Yeah, absolutely. Her step over is looking very good, and she's out the gate now as well from zone 3, heading into her 4th 500-meter run.
But Holly Meyer right behind her. As Leslie was leaving, Holly was maybe 2 or 3 seconds back. So a fight for 3rd and 4th place as well, even if 1 and 2 have opened up a bit of a gap here.
Right now, we got our top 5. Alexandra Walker, Carrie Nakuda, Leslie Hackett in 3rd. And we just lost 4 and 5.
I believe it was Holly Meyer in 4th and then Brandy Woodall in 5th. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll see how that unfolds as this goes on.
Okay, Chris. Just getting things set up.
This is run number 4, so just over a third of the way through the race. As you can tell by the time as well, we're 11 minutes in. Again, expect this to take somewhere around 34 minutes or so. At least that's what Yancey's prediction was. We heard from him a couple of moments ago. So Alex Walker setting the tone, still maintaining that lead.
Yeah, she's got a killer pace going, especially for the 4th run. From here, they're going to head into those med ball sit-ups. Not a very taxing, just kind of something to shake off the run. You're going to do 25 sit-ups and right back out on the run again. So this is just really an opportunity to try to catch your breath, be as efficient, and waste the least amount of energy as possible here.
And Carrie right behind Alex coming into these sit-ups. So she's staying with her and maintaining, you know, only a gap of about 2 seconds.
Yeah, I've been running kind of like one lap with them. So
once I left the skier, I was like, I just started thinking about relays tonight. Like, I'm just gonna chill out. Yeah.
Alexandra's got quite the pace, though. She's putting about 2 to every, maybe 1.5 to 2 to every one that Carrie's putting up there on that sit-up. So she should put a little bit more of a gap on her here.
So surprising. People look at this and never done it, like, oh, this is the bad zone.
And these two athletes have really opened up on this field. I think they're more than halfway. Alex finishing up her sit-ups as 3rd place comes in.
Yeah, and you can see Carrie's getting a little bit tired there. She gets to the tail end of those 25. This is where we're going to really start seeing Alexandra probably separate herself a bit.
And now Leslie and Holly right next to each other, 3rd and 4th place. So that may be a battle to watch, as again, 1st and 2nd had a big gap. And 1st place, Alex Walker, put some time on Carrie on this last station. So you see both of them. You can see Alex on the picture-in-picture as 3rd and 4th place still go through their sit-ups. But Carrie is onto her run as well.
Yeah, and I would still not even count 3rd and 4th out here, being that this is only the, 4th zone that we're in. There's still a whole lot of race to go, and like we were talking about with the men, that's that 7, 8, 9, 10 that's going to really, be the.
Yeah, I mean, we saw how much time Nick made up, into the air bike and then coming out of it those next couple of runs and stations. So anything can happen, with those athletes that are in third or fourth or maybe even farther back with more than half of this race still to go.
There you go. And we're looking on the screen. You can see the women's box jump times. Is how fast they were going through them. Holly Meyer with the fastest time, tied for Alexandra Walker, and then Carrie Nakuda, Brandy Woodall, Amber Nelson, all within 4, 5, 6 seconds. So we'll see more of those stats as we're working through these stations.
And that 4-second gap between Alex Walker and Carrie, that's significant because they came into those stations pretty much even, and to make up 4 or 5 seconds coming out of it, puts yourself in a good position. As you can see that, right now, Alex Walker pretty much running alone as this is run number 5.
Yep, as she gets done with this one, she's going to head into the ski herd. We got 500 meters on the ski. Little pat for her friend, little motivation as she continues into that next zone. She's hammering away at that ski right now.
And Carrie's still hanging in. She's into the ski erg as well, less than 10 seconds down, although it's going to take her a second to get that ski dampered and up and running.
Yeah, and you can see the way Carrie is not really reaching as high as she could be. Alexandra reaching up a little bit higher. It gives you a little bit more to pull on, which will give you a little bit of a better pace, a little more efficient. But again, that's just coming with time. As this sport evolves and as DEKA FIT grows, you're going to find people doing a lot more ski erg work, that's for sure.
And that's experience of this event coming into play as well, right? We've talked about, Alex Walker, someone who's, competed in many of these before, as the team record holder along with Bridget Brown. And so she's got that experience and technique dialed in maybe a little bit more than some of these other athletes. But, right now, 1 and 2 next to each other, working through it at the same time. Still plenty of race to go as we're not even at the halfway point.
Yeah, and it looks like Alexandra is that same intensity as when she walked into that zone. So she's still hammering away. There's Leslie Hackett. She's also got a nice pace going. And really good form there for, it looks like, Holly Meyer.
Now we're taking a look over here.
That's been the top 4 really ever since that first run and station that have kind of emerged. We've got Alexandra Walker in first, Carrie Nakuda in second, and then Leslie Hackett in third, but Holly Meyer right with her in fourth.
Yeah, she's not far, and these ladies are just finishing up halfway through this race. So we got 5 more stations and plenty of work to be done.
As Alex comes out of the ski erg, I want to remind you can check out DEKA.fit for a local DEKA event near you. There are hundreds to choose from. Again, that is DEKA.fit. So Alex, with that ski erg technique, has put a ton of time into Carrie on this station, as there's actually another athlete who's come in to start using the ski that Alex was using while Carrie is still on it. Now Carrie coming out in second place, but this is easily the most significant gap we've seen between 1 and 2 at any point in this race.
Yeah, and as Yancey mentioned earlier, Alexandra's been out for, I think, about 30 seconds now. So she is pushing that 34-minute pace. A few stations are a little faster than others. So if she can keep up that run, she will be right around that 34 minutes.
I'll look here at third and fourth. That's Leslie Hackett in the foreground, Holly Meyer next to her. So the two of them still on this station. Again, Carrie is kind of alone right now in second place, with Alex having opened up that bigger of a gap.
Third place is now heading out of zone 5. Alexandra Walker just passed zone 5. So she's going to be, if not lapping, but right on her. Yep, and there she is. She's tailing her just a bit in the bottom of our screen. And that's second place, Carrie Nakuda right now.
Yeah, so we've got a picture-in-picture. We have first place lapping third place, and then second place kind of on the other side of the arena right now, trying to make up ground and keep the gap at the same time. And, you know, when we heard from Rylan Shattuck after the men's race, even if you're in first place, it still hurts. I mean, you know, Alex Walker, even though she's all alone, doesn't really have anybody to push her right now. She knows she can't afford to let up, and it's going to be, you know, another 15, 16 minutes of intense effort as she finishes out these last 4 stations.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's a 30-minute time or 36 minutes, the rate of, you know, perceived exertion, they're pushing. You know, that's a 9 or a 10 out there all day. They're hammering, trying to put down the fastest time they can.
And so now station number 6, you saw in the picture-in-picture there, Alex Walker. Now she's up on screen, hammering through this farmer's carry. It's again 40-pound weights in each hand. So she's going to try and make her way through this as much as possible. As Carrie, just now there, you can see on the side of the screen, has the dumbbells in her hands. So a significant gap here between 1 and 2, but our top 2 athletes are both on station number 6 here, the farmer's carry.
Yep, this is one of those stations, super fast, less than a minute. You just got to now set it down. It's mental, try to hang on, get to the end, drop those things, and get moving on that run again.
And then you get onto this run and you start thinking about what's next, because the air bike, as we saw in the men's race, this is where Rylan Shattuck really kind of finished, you know, sealed the deal when he came in and hammered the air bike and really extended that gap. So, you know, as we get a look at Alex Walker making her way around now as Carrie comes out in second place, you know, I think in the back of her mind, she knows, hey, if I can just push through this bike, maintain the gap that I've got, then, you know, I have a great opportunity to kind of close this thing out.
Yeah, for sure. If she can hammer that air bike, like you said, the dead ball, the tank, the weighted burpees, they're tough, but it's going to be the running and how they're feeling and what kind of time they can really put down on that air bike.
We've got a great battle now here for third and fourth. So Holly Meyer, who's been kind of maybe a split second behind Leslie Hackett for most of this race, is now just in front in third place. So third and fourth are right there with each other. They've got a pretty big gap on fifth place as well. You can see Holly there in the black top and tights, and then Leslie in the red top, third and fourth place. You know, I think the bike is going to be incredibly significant for maybe deciding this podium with the way this race is unfolded.
Let's go. You got to take off.
Yeah, we'll see how these ladies fared on this run. Drop these weights and out. This will be an opportunity for Holly to either get some more distance between them, because she's really been pushing those runs, or if Carrie can hang on, or excuse me, if Leslie can hang on and stay right there with her.
Now Carrie in second place again, passing some other athletes on course who aren't part of this wave. The inset picture on the bottom right, that's Alex finishing up this run. She's going to be heading into the air bike any second now, as we are 22 minutes into this race. You can see the split times there for the skier, as so Alex Walker 10 seconds faster than Carrie on the skier. And I think that has really been significant in the way this race is unfolded, as now she gets onto the bike there in the picture-in-picture getting started.
Yeah, once again, that was the technique things, just the experience, like you said, working on that skier. Have been here before, knows how to handle it.
So Carrie came into this zone about 10 seconds after Alex started the bike, but it's going to be another few seconds, for Carrie to get onto the bike and up and running. So we're looking at, a 13 to 15 second gap going into this station, and we'll keep an eye on things to see how that may change as these two athletes work through their 25 calories.
Yeah, some athletes find standing, like Alexandra was doing just a moment ago, to be helpful. You can use your legs a little bit more. I find that you have to put your arms and your legs in motion together. Your whole body has to be working together to really hammer this bike properly. As you're pulling one hand, the foot's got to be pushing. It can't be breaking things up between legs and arms. It's got to be a full body work for you really to be efficient and knock it out, in a decent amount of time.
Alex is about 1 minute and 20 seconds into the bike at this point, still trying to hammer through and finish it up.
Just get through it.
Yeah. And if you haven't tried it before, like you said, 25 calories in even 90 seconds is pain. So to be able to get it done, she's probably right around 90 seconds right now. She's going to be heading out shortly, and hopefully she can keep up that pace like she's been doing on these runs.
So some movement a little bit farther down in the field. So Leslie Hackett, who came out of the Farmers Carry in 4th place, she comes in 3rd, just ahead of Holly Meyer, but also Amber Nelson is making herself known in this race as well. So 3rd through 5th is up for grabs at this point. And Carrie comes out of the zone in 1st, so a huge change of events here as she makes her way out of the zone, passing Alex Walker.
Yeah, she was banging on that bike pretty hard in the back there. We didn't see her on screen too much, but she was moving. Carrie looked like she was, Alexandra looked like she was laboring a little bit, but now her running seems to be keeping up. So she's going to probably make a pass or at least be right on Carrie as they head into the next zone.
And this is an interesting test because this is the first time in this entire race. We're on run number 8. This is the first time that Alex has had anybody in front of her. She's been setting the tone throughout this entire event so far, but now she has a target coming out of that bike.
Yeah, and you can see she's closing that gap on Carrie right now. It might have been part of the plan, take it a little easier on the bike, let them think they have it, bait them in. Maybe she hammered on the bike, Carrie did, and then Alexandra, makes the attack here on the run. Maybe she's more efficient on the dead ball over, having the experience of being that Carrie, I don't believe, has done a DEKA FIT horse. So.
Yeah, we have the dead ball wall over. That's going to be 40 pounds for them. Then they've got the tank push and pull, and then the ram burpees. So still 3 fairly intense stations left. "26 minutes into this race, Carrie Nakuda is still holding that gap, but now Alex is closing down a little bit. Just within the last few seconds, it seems like she made up a few meters, holding back a tiny bit, not fully running her down, but again, those stations still to come are going to prove significant.
Yeah, she'll want to make her move soon, though, because, we were talking about, the tank can only move so fast. They've got the dead ball overs first, but then they're going to get to the tank push-pull. With this type of flooring, the polished concrete, you're only going to go so fast.
Let's go, ladies. Come on.
And then, of course, it's going to come down to those burpees and who's ready to just hammer them out. So both these ladies are just now coming into zone number 8, both pretty much neck and neck. They've got 2 reps apiece, working towards these 20 dead ball overs.
Yep, and so you got to make sure you have your feet inside of kind of the support there, as you can see both of them working their way through it. Oh, Alex missed there. That's going to cost her a couple of seconds as she didn't get it over.
Yeah, working efficiently, making sure you don't get any no reps, getting that ball over. Every second counts, especially with these top 2 spots for these ladies.
We saw Leslie on her run off screen. I don't think she's going to be able to run either of these 2 down, but has a chance to try and claim 3rd place. It's going to be an interesting battle to follow, with this 1-2 at the front, and then later on 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, and you can see on the screen there, Carrie Nakuda made quite the move on the air bike. She threw down a 2:03 for those 25 calories. Leslie Hackett, Liz Kelly, and Alexandra Walker, Leslie Hackett was 12 seconds behind, and then Liz Kelly and Alexandra were both 22 seconds behind. So made up a lot of time there.
So we have another lead change coming out of the dead ball overs as Alex Walker came in maybe 2 seconds down, comes out 3 or 4 seconds in front. So putting in that work on the stations, maybe, Joe, like you talked about, she might have just measured her effort a little bit on the bike, knowing that there was an opportunity to put in work later. And now she's back in front, trying to set the tone again on this run number 9.
Yep, run number 9. That's going to head them right into the tank push-pull. It's 100 meters, 10 meters each way, so down and back 5 times. With the little end there, the shiny point on your tank, passing each of the lines for your laps there. So she's just passing that station now. She'll do one more lap before she heads in to begin zone number 9.
Come on, Holly!
And here's Leslie Hackett, you just saw quickly there on screen. Believe she was in 3rd place. She's been in a battle with Holly Nelson for 3rd and 4th. As here's Leslie on the dead ball overs with Alex Walker in the picture-in-picture.
Yeah, Walker's still got an awesome pace on that run, so as long as she can continue with that, she should be able to hang on to this lead as they head through 9 and 10.
Go, Holly!
She should be coming up to 9 right now.
You got it! Come on, Holly!
And there's Holly Nelson again in that fight for 3rd place. A podium spot and some cash on the line as Leslie Hackett and Holly Nelson work through those dead balls. Okay, so Alex Walker is into the sled. About a 5-second lead on Carey. So the two of them will be on kind of the same rep, but there's a bit of a gap for Alex to try and build here on this second to last station.
Yep, this is going to be all about not stopping. Just keep it moving. Whether you got to pull the way Alexandra is or like some of the guys were before with that rowing motion, whatever you do not stop. This is the time to hammer and keep it going.
You saw there almost no time wasted. As soon as she got past the line, was right back up in front pushing it forward. And, you know, this is push number 2, so she's got 3 more pushes and now 4 more pulls starting with this one. Those split times for the dead ball, again, 1 and 2, very close, just a 1-second difference as Alex put a little bit of time on the run.
Yeah, you can only move those things as far as efficiency and whatnot. Getting the feet inside the bars as quickly as possible and just trying to get it up and over. Try not to drop it beforehand or hit it up against the bar like you saw Alexandra do on one of those reps. And then, of course, here with the tank push and pull, that's you can only go so fast. Just keep your feet moving like we were just saying. Get out to the run, hammer that run, and be ready to knock out 20 burpees so you can collapse through that finish line.
Yeah, 30-plus minutes of effort have come down to this as these athletes finish up this tank push and pull. You just got one more run, one more station. So we're very close. Again, 1 and 2 have put an impressive show here, putting a huge gap on the rest of the field. We expect to have a pretty intense battle for that 3rd and final podium spot as we get a sense of how that unfolds as those ladies come in to the tank push and pull here in a minute.
Yeah, so Alexandra looks like she's finishing hers up. So she's going to probably coming into those burpees just around 34 and change on the clock. So we'll be looking for probably something around sub 36, I would think, depending on how she's feeling when she starts those burpees.
And as Alex was leaving, you saw Leslie Hackett there come into the push. So now Carey, believe this should be her last pull. About 10 seconds down or so. So you'd expect Alex to probably have a, 4 or 5, maybe even 6 burpee lead. We'll keep an eye on that, as she finishes up this run. But, there is an opportunity, but you've got to be ready to bring it on those burpees if you want to close that gap.
Yeah, for sure. In my experience on some of these, even like the DEKA Strong DEKA Mile, when you get to those burpees, it can easily become a 2 or 3 minute thing if you've pushed it too hard or approached the workout the wrong way. So I don't anticipate that with these ladies, but anything's possible.
You got it.
We've got 3rd through 5th place all on the tank push right now.
Let's go, Holly. Drive.
A lot to be decided for that podium spot. as we're getting a look as well in the inset of Alex Walker on her 10th and final run.
Push, 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 push. You don't have to
Shout
pull
out.
back
Sounds
that
like we
far.
got our rabbit Megan out there giving them some motivation, letting them know they're still in the fight. So
Good job, Liz. Looking good.
shout out to all of our camera men and women
Watch
out
out
there
for the collision over there.
keeping up pace with some of the top athletes in the world. So
Let's go, Leslie. You can't let up. You can't let
Real
up.
quick, I'll remind you this copyrighted broadcast is presented by DEKA and the OCR report and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of the OCR report. As we're just moments away from the exciting conclusion of this race, Alexander Walker has led pretty much the whole way. Was a few seconds down coming out of the air bike, quickly made up that gap on the following station, and has now opened herself a lead once again. She is finishing up that last run and now comes on to the burpees. So we'll try and get a count on this and see how many reps in front she is before Carrie comes in second place.
that's 3 burpees down. It's going to be about a 4 burpee deficit. So let's see if she can catch that up. Yancey trying to get the crowd to hype these ladies up. They're right at the end here. Alex Walker looks like she's going to walk away with this one. Carrie Nakuda, though, she's getting it down. She's definitely going to take that second place spot if she can sustain the pace that she's holding. Third place has not yet made it in to the burpees.
Yeah, Alex, I believe, is well over halfway through these burpees now, so probably just about 5 or 6 remaining as she tries to finish off a victory here at DEKA FIT Austin.
Yeah, and you can see the technique that she's using, perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable. Oh, she changed it there. She's starting to do the 2-foot jump motion. You can also step up on that burpee as long as you then fully extend it over your head and show space between the top of your head and the ram itself.
The crowd fired up here. Great spectator-friendly environment as Alex Walker comes across under 36 minutes. She is your DEKA FIT Austin champion.
That was fantastic. She really laid down that last 500 and those burpees to keep it under 36 minutes.
And now Carrie is getting the crowd encouragement as she's laboring a little bit but working through, and she will finish second place, about maybe 15 seconds down, but a tremendous effort from Carrie as she finishes in second before third place even starts her burpees.
Yeah, we'll see who we have in third and fourth, as it was still pretty tight as they were leaving the tank, push and pull.
Yeah, some drama to unfold here as we're just waiting on third and fourth place, who have been back and forth. That's been Leslie Hackett and Holly Meyer for the most part, kind of going toe-to-toe, exchanging positions as they should be on their final run now, coming into burpees here momentarily.
They may not make it home. We have been looking at it.
So here we go. Holly Meyer in third place. She's opened up a bit of a gap, but she's got to get to work on these burpees. So she'll get after it now. She's into those 20 burpees.
Come on, keep going.
Trying to keep that pace and hang on for third place. Call it a similar gap as Holly Meyer about 4 or 5 burpees in when Leslie Hackett comes in. But does Leslie have anything left to try and keep up that pace? And she's got some good technique, but after close to 40 minutes of effort, it's tough. Holly Meyer on the right, Leslie Hackett on the left. Battle for the podium here at DEKA FIT Austin in this 10th and final station.
And these ladies
Holly
are
should be
moving
more
on
than
these
halfway
burpees.
done at this point, I believe.
Still both able to keep it under 40 minutes. Great times for this DEKA FIT.
And there's Holly Meyer finishing. So she'll come across in third place, about 38:15, a strong time, as now Leslie Hackett in fourth has a pretty big gap. She just needs to push through these last few burpees and she'll have a fourth place result.
Let's go, Leslie. Finish strong, girl. Finish strong.
Just a few more burpees from her. And who do we have in 5th place over there? I can't quite see who we have. But she is catching up.
And that's 4th place. Just under 39 minutes for Leslie Hackett. So she was in it for that 3rd and 4th place spot. The whole race ended up coming in 4th, but a strong effort and good work on the burpees to close it out.
And there's 5th place.
Wow, some great work being put in there for 5th place as well. It was 3rd and 4th most of the way, but great job closing it down as these top 5 athletes have really put in a tremendous effort here today.
But this is good too. I need some calories. That's for sure.
I'm gonna get you water.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And over with one of our, oh, well, we're going to keep an eye and see who comes into the burpees next for 6th place. Once again, while we're waiting, don't forget to go to DEKA.fit if you want to look for any races, any local events as far as your DEKA Strong or DEKA Mile. Upcoming DEKA Fit events. We have Knoxville on March 4th, Sacramento April 1st, May 6th, we're in Anaheim, and then the DEKA Fit Carolinas in Concord, North Carolina on July 24th. June 24th. June 24th in Concord.
That was Brandon Woodall. I think she's still got one more lap before coming into her burpees. So we're still waiting on our 6th place athlete to come into the burpee zone here to finish off this race. So it looks like that was Liz Kelly. If those times are correct, an incredible effort as she was 35 seconds faster than any other athlete on the burpees. That is incredible. You see the top 4 there, all within about 20 seconds of each other.
Yeah, she did make those burpees look very easy.
So we do have now, it looks like 6th place.
Did you get Alex on interview? I'll find her.
I wasn't sure if they could hear on this phone.
They can and they can't. If they realize
Yes, we
that
can.
you're talking to somebody, they'll switch over.
Okay.
I'll find her. It's all
Okay.
good.
Yep.
Oh, they can hear us.
Okay.
I'll find her.
I'm pretty gassed, so I don't really want to talk.
The whole women's race.
I think this may be Amber Nelson finishing off her burpees now in 6th place.
I can't really hear him in here. Okay. Yeah, I can tell you. Yeah, thanks.
Looks like our rabbits are going to be trying to find some of our top finishers here to hear from them as we've got 7th place coming in now, 20 ram burpees.
She's got about 3
Brandy
reps
Woodall
remaining.
coming in 8th place. Yep.
And Brandy could catch up with 7th place if she can. Looks like 7th picked up the pace just a bit there as she saw her come in. So that should be 6, 7, 8 in the order they came in.
There is 6th place, just over 42 minutes. We've got 7th and 8th now still on course. There should be a couple of other athletes as well. I know we had one who didn't start, but there were 11 on the start list. There should be 10 athletes here finishing this off. But again, Alex Walker, your winner. Carrie Nakuda, 2nd place. And then Holly Meyer in 3rd with Leslie Hackett in 4th place.
And once again, those prizes, $1,000 going to our 1st place winner, $500 to 2nd place, and $250 to 3rd.
And there's 7th place coming across the line. We're going to have some results here in a few minutes once our top 10 athletes all finish up. This is Brandy Woodall, who I believe is in 8th place, making her way through her final few burpees. And there's Brandy coming across about 43.22. And you can see that This event takes a lot out of you in that final station. It's your full body. You've various stations have taxed your arms, your legs, your core, and then you've got to put it all together in burpees and really just whatever you've got left in those 20 burpees, you're going to be using it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I've had days where the 20 burpees with that RAM take me 1 minute or they take me 3.5 minutes. So it can depend how you approach this workout for sure.
What was going through your head when you passed Alex Walker?
Looks like we might get with Carrie Nakuda. Let's listen in.
I thought she was long gone, to be honest. So that just really energized me. It made me feel, we're in the game. It was a really fun race the last few go-arounds. So it was real fun to have someone there to compete with. Yeah, well, you did great. You had a really strong finish. You should be super proud of that performance. Thank you. Looking forward to the whole year with you. All right. Great job, Carrie.
And you heard Carrie there talking about, having someone to run with, it really keeps you engaged, right? She was a little bit behind Alex for a lot of the race, did end up catching her on the air bike, but just when you've got that competition and someone to chase in front of you, it really helps you get the best out of yourself, and we saw that there from today's second place finisher.
Yeah, absolutely. She just stuck with it and tried to hammer in those stations when she could. She was able to walk away with that second place.
And so we've got our final two athletes, I believe, Christina Kibner as well as Kirsty Russell here finishing off their burpees to close out this DEKA FIT Elite Heat. There's Kirsty there in the blue. Didn't see exactly when she came in, but she should be about halfway through, if not more. Through these burpees. I heard someone just call it 11, so she's got less than 10 to go.
Yeah, we got some of our rabbits out there trying to...
14. 15, you're almost there,
About 5 reps to go. Not sure exactly what Christina is on in the other corner, but we'll see which one of them comes across here with the top position.
Oh.
Wow.
Nice finish, ladies.
And there's our last two. So a tight battle there right at the end. Again, wherever you are in the field, it's going to bring the best out of you, and you're putting out that full effort.
Yeah, absolutely. That was 9 and 10 crossing through the finish line.
Yeah, I got
Just a
Alex
moment.
here.
We're going to bring up our official results. Let's listen in with Alex Walker.
I've been training for ultras, so to get out and have to do high heart rate, I'm like, well, that sucks.
Yeah, that was great. How did you feel? I know when we talked before, you were just in it to have fun. When you got in the course, were you like, I'm here to have fun, but I'm here to win?
Oh, yeah. My race is just fun and still being competitive, so I got out there and I knew when I got to the bike, I can't stand that thing. If I had to kick anything to the curb, it would be the bike, Nancy. But I knew if I could get off of it and be able to hunt, then I could hunt her down.
That's awesome. Yeah, what was kind of going through your head when she passed you on the bike?
Well, I already knew because I was told in my ear that we'd be getting off around the same time. So when I got off of it, I was like, okay, time to run. Nothing else is going to hurt. So she was right in front of me, so I was like, I had to fight.
Yeah, you did great. You ran a really strong race, held your ground, gave them something to chase. So congratulations.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you in the teams with your son.
Yes, really fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. Bye.
And it's like you heard from Alex right there.
Yeah,
Zone 7.
runway.
She knew going in. Oh. Maybe a little bit more from Alex. Okay. Yeah, so, Zone 7. She's coming in. She knew it was going to hurt. She knew that she'd get out there around the same time. As long as she could compose herself, get the runs, and hammer it the rest of the way. The stations aren't too bad at the end once you get past 7, but, 7 will put a hurting on you if you're not careful.
So we're going to pull up our Women's Elite Top 10 from today's race here momentarily. Again, we just heard from Alex Walker, who took the win. Carrie Nakuda in second place. A great battle between Holly Meyer and Leslie Hackett in third and fourth, with Liz Kelly making a tremendous effort on those burpees to try and catch fourth place. Came up a little bit short, and you see Amber, Christina, Brandy, Natalie, and Kirsty there rounding out the field. Just a great day of racing all around. Joe, we saw Rylan Shadig take it out in the men's heat, Alex Walker in the women's. Interestingly, both of them we heard from talking about their training for longer things and weren't really sure how the intensity and speed of this event were going to feel. But the two of them, put their overall fitness on display to come out with the wins here today.
Yeah, it was really impressive to watch. We do have a couple corrections coming up on the results, just making sure we get those official times on there.
Hey guys, not sure if you can hear me very well. My headphones kind of are trash, but not really sure what else you guys want me to film.
Well, we've spoken to one and two.
So we did hear from Alex Walker and Kiri Nakuda there, the top two finishers, as now we're back in the studio here, I believe. But yeah, just an impressive, season opening race for these DEKA Fit athletes. And, we saw some lead changes up front for both of them. We saw, Anas and Kiri kind of sticking their nose in it, trying to hang with our eventual winners in both races. But we saw some impressive come from behind performances as well. Nick Riker going from 4th to 2nd place. I mean, that's, outside of the winners, maybe the biggest takeaway of the day was kind of the way that Nick put the right effort in and made his move. But, Joe, what were your takeaways from the action that we saw here today?
No, absolutely. I would say Nick Riker stood out the most. He, at the beginning he was composed, took his time, and then when it was time, he struck and then he held it. He took that 2nd place. I mean, Rylan Shadig rather, was clearly way out ahead. But, for what Nick did and where he was, 5th place, working his way 4th, 3rd, and then before you know it, he's right there. So very impressive, awesome, great morning of racing.
So I think we do have the corrected times for the women's elite top 10. We had the order right, but you can see there. So Alex Walker, just under 36 minutes, a 25-second victory over Kiri Nakuda. And then Holly Meyer, Leslie Hackett, and Liz Kelly, they were all in the mix for those 3rd, 4th, and 5th spots. Amber Nelson, a strong effort as well in 6th. And then some fierce competition toward the back of the field as well. Just everyone fighting for all of those positions. So, want to thank everyone for tuning in and checking out the action here today. It was just a phenomenal morning of racing, a season opener. We've got Knoxville coming up in just a couple of weeks, Joe. And again, it was great to be a part of this and see, an awesome season opener for a lot of these athletes.
Absolutely. And if you haven't tried it before, get out there, get to the DEKA Strongs, get to the DEKA Miles. Those are all over the place, all over the country. The affiliates are popping up every single day. You see new ones on Instagram. Make sure you follow in the OCR report. They're keeping everything up to date as far as DEKA Fit. So we hope to see you out there for sure.
So that's going to just about do it for our broadcast here today from DEKA Fit Austin. Again, Rylan Shadig and Alex Walker, your winners today. An impressive effort from all these athletes. I want to remind you, this live coverage of the 2023 DEKA Series has been a presentation of DEKA and the OCR Report. Thank you for watching, and a special shout out to Yancey Culp and Jason Dupree, kind of the masterminds of DEKA and our OCR Report coverage here, respectively. You can find race results for today's race at the OCR Report Instagram at the OCR Report. Be sure to subscribe to the OCR Report YouTube channel, and for a DEKA event near you, as we've talked about, go to DEKA.fit for our rabbits here today, Luke, Megan, and Brian, as well as my broadcast partner, Joe Roberto. I am Xander Keene. Thank you for tuning into today's broadcast, and we'll see you on March 4th at DEKA Knoxville.